561. Xuanian's invitation, Chaos Thunderwood. Lotus, thoughts, tyrant's anger. Subsequently, you congratulated Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable on her breakthrough to Immortal Venerable 8th level. After her breakthrough, she would be the Immortal Reverence Hall's strongest. Although Ba Wu was at Immortal Venerable 10th level, only Yu Zhan Daozhen could command him, and he was not controlled by the Immortal Reverence Hall. Naturally, he was not among them. Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable, however, laughed and said that this was no major achievement, and that in not too long, your strength should surpass hers. Afterward, Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable departed. You remained in place, receiving further flattery from other Immortal Venerables. This was not to say that you enjoyed flattery. As the saying goes, the immortal domain is not about fighting and killing, but about human relationships. Since other Immortal Venerables were giving you face, you naturally had to accept it, which also served as a way to expand your network. 3 days later, Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable sent you a message, inviting you to gather at the Zhan Yin Immortal Palace. The Zhan Yin Immortal Palace was located near the peak of Elder Peak. The palace was majestic and magnificent, with carved beams and painted rafters, exuding an immortal family aura everywhere. Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable personally led you into the hall, where besides the two of you, there were also several good friends of Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable. Yaoqi Jade Mother was among them. Everyone had come to celebrate Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable's breakthrough. Given Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable's seniority, she could have held a grand event. But she was naturally quiet and not a flamboyant person. So she only invited a few close friends. Her friends all looked at you with playful gazes. They were all innate goddesses born when the heavens and earth were created, and you were the only male immortal. This couldn't help but lead to wild speculation. Among them, Immortal Venerable Lian Rong even laughed teasingly. Zhan Yin, this little girl is actually close to a male immortal. Is she feeling amorous? Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable gave her an exasperated look and said that the reason she invited you was because you had greatly assisted her in her breakthrough to Immortal Venerable 8th level. Watching the goddesses laugh and chatter, completely devoid of their usual solemnity. You thought to yourself that you had truly fallen into a pile of goddesses. The banquet lasted for a long time, and you spent most of your time listening to the innate goddesses chat. There was also a lot of gossip, which greatly broadened your horizons. It turned out that innate goddesses also gossiped. After the banquet, the innate goddesses successively bid farewell and left. Just as you were about to leave, Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable suddenly called out to you. She softly said, I heard that you are comprehending the Destruction Tao principle. I have something I would like to give you. You were somewhat surprised to hear this, not expecting such an unexpected gain. Of course, you also knew that this was not Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable deliberately showing goodwill, but rather to settle the karma she owed you. After all, immortal cultivators most feared karma. If it wasn't settled today, and a great calamity implicated her in the future, it would be undesirable. However, with Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable's generosity, she would certainly not offer anything ordinary. You were somewhat curious about what she would use to settle the karma. Then, Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable took out a withered branch emanating an aura of destruction, saying, this is Chaos Thunderwood. It was struck by the innate Destruction Tao principle and retains a lot of destruction power, which can help you comprehend the Destruction Tao principle faster. Although you had never underestimated Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable, you were still greatly surprised when she took out the Chaos Thunderwood. What was on it was not just the power of destruction, but also a relatively complete power of heavenly thunder. It could allow one to comprehend the Heavenly Thunder Tao principles, ranked 21st. And the Chaos Thunderwood itself could also be used to create innate supreme treasures of the Thunder attribute. It could be said to have infinite uses. You did not act courteously and directly accepted it. Anyway, the other party was also returning your favor, so you definitely had to fulfill her wish. Otherwise, it would be your fault. When you left the Zhan Yin Immortal Palace with the Chaos Thunderwood, Immortal Venerable Lian Rong, who had left before you, quietly arrived at a dense forest. Ba Wu Immortal Venerable had already been waiting there for a long time. How was it? Did the two of them not overstep? Ba Wu Immortal Venerable asked with concern. He had spent a great deal of money to pursue Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable, by winning over those around her. For example, Immortal Venerable Lian Rong had long become his informant. Immortal Venerable Lian Rong covered her lips and smiled. In public, of course, they wouldn't overstep, but privately, it's hard to say. We all left, but Zhan Yin left that kid alone. Who knows if they were doing something unspeakable? As Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable's close friend, Immortal Venerable Lian Rong's words undoubtedly had the suspicion of malicious slander. But she did it on purpose. As fellow innate goddesses, Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable's splendor always overshadowed others. In addition, Immortal Venerable Lian Rong was not a person of noble character to begin with, otherwise she would not have become Bawu Immortal Venerable's informant. Naturally, she had secretly resented her for a long time. Being able to cause some trouble for Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable was one of her few pleasures. Anyway, Bawu Immortal Venerable would not possibly reveal that it was she who said it. Indeed, Bawu Immortal Venerable was furious after hearing this. Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable cherished her reputation and had never before left a male immortal alone in her own immortal palace. Had their relationship progressed to this point? Very well, it seems it's time for me to personally take action and teach him a lesson. As fellow elders of the Immortal Reverence Hall, even if Immortal Venerable Zhetian's side suffered a defeat, Bawu Immortal Venerable did not want to openly fall out with you. According to his original plan, he would find an opportunity to ambush you. Since you consistently ignored his warnings and deliberately approached Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable, then don't blame him for being merciless. Soon, Bawu Immortal Venerable arrived outside the Eternal Life Immortal Palace and called you out for a battle. Many Immortal Venerables heard the news and rushed to watch the show. Bawu Immortal Venerable was only one step away from Immortal Venerable 8th level. His strength was not comparable to Immortal Venerable Zhetian's. Although you had defeated Immortal Venerable Zhetian, many people did not believe you could defeat Bawu Immortal Venerable. You didn't understand what madness this Bawu fellow was up to now. Since he had called you out, you couldn't back down. You came outside and asked him if he had drunk too much fake alcohol. Bawu Immortal Venerable angrily said, I have already warned you, yet you still dare to approach Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable. You're asking for a beating. You secretly sighed that beautiful women indeed caused trouble. You wondered if Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable now owed you another favor. Bawu Immortal Venerable attacked you with an unimaginably vast aura. His fist, carrying boundless majesty and dominance, covered the vast heavens and earth. You knew that Bawu Immortal Venerable had also cultivated a great Tao body, and it was much more powerful than yours. Naturally, you could not engage him in physical body combat. You unleashed the Immortal Slaughtering Sword formation, trapping him with thousands of top-tier immortal swords. Not long ago, you had used this formation to severely injure Immortal Venerable Zhetian. However, now it only trapped Bawu Immortal Venerable for half an incense stick of time. 562. The power of the God-destroying spear. The great success of the Tao of Destruction, the deal of the Asura Immortal. Bawu quickly broke through the formation and attacked you again. This time, he used the 12th ranked Void Realm Tao principles. In an instant, thousands of miles of sky shattered, and countless spatial fragments transformed into a rain of light, sweeping backward towards the Eternal Life Immortal Palace. You took out the Merit Golden Lotus, Heaven-Shaking Cauldron, Chaos Clock, and other 3 innate supreme treasures, stabilizing the Void Realm and protecting the newly rebuilt Eternal Life Immortal Palace. Your eyes gleamed with coldness. Since Bawu Immortal Venerable insisted on seeking trouble, you could only grant his wish. Behind you, 4 Jade Creation Disc fragments appeared. The divine intent of the 4 Chaos Supreme Treasure fragments surged into the sky, and various Tao principles manifested at this moment, emitting the sound of Tao music. The Immortal Venerables did not expect that you had collected so many Jade Creation Disc fragments. And even more, that you had completely refined them. This time, Bawu Immortal Venerable had truly met his match. You displayed the Jade Creation Disc fragments and continuously battled Bawu Immortal Venerable above Yuzan Mountain. For a time, many powerful cultivators in limitless heaven could see the endless battle ripples spreading across the sky. The Great Sun World-honored one of the Great Sun Tathagata Temple felt somewhat fortunate. Fortunately, you were not the Emperor's star, otherwise, what would Eastern Arrival Buddha Reverence use to compete with you? You and Bawu Immortal Venerable fought for a long time, with neither gaining the upper hand. Sweat appeared on Bawu Immortal Venerable's forehead. He had originally thought he could suppress you, but he didn't expect to be unable to do anything to you. He had thoughts of retreating and said, there's no benefit in continuing this fight. How about we shake hands and make peace? Ha ha, you sneered. Come when you want, leave when you want, what do you take my Eternal Life Immortal Palace for? Bawu Immortal Venerable said, even if we fight for another 3 days and 3 nights, we won't determine a winner. I hope you'll be sensible and take the step I'm offering. You said no more and directly took out the Chaos Spirit Treasure God-slaying spear. The God-slaying spear was left by Tian Wu Immortal Lord, and you had not yet refined it. But you could activate the Destruction Tao principle and draw upon a portion of its power. A terrifying aura suddenly erupted. Ba Wu Immortal Venerable's face changed drastically, and caught off guard, he only had time for a single scream before being sent flying far away. The tearing sound of his backward flight was like a series of thunderclaps, shaking the sky. Afterward, the injured Ba Wu Immortal Venerable retreated to his immortal palace and stayed behind closed doors. The Immortal Venerables were all shocked. They didn't expect that the ultimate winner would be you. You first severely injured Heaven-shrouding Immortal Venerable, and then defeated Ba Wu Immortal Venerable. Below Immortal Venerable 8th layer, you were almost unrivaled. And you had only recently broken through to Immortal Venerable 3rd layer. Truly too much of a prodigy. Is this what happens at the end of an epic, when all sorts of monsters emerge? And Lotus Bloom Immortal Venerable in the distance also had a very interesting expression. She had originally wanted Ba Wu Immortal Venerable to defeat you and make Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable lose some face. She didn't expect Ba Wu to be the one defeated instead. However, a slight curve appeared at the corner of Lotus Bloom Immortal Venerable's lips again. Displaying too much astonishing ability might not be a good thing. If Yu Zhandaozhen sensed a threat, even if you had joined the Immortal Reverence Hall, he would still make a move against you. The struggle for Immortal Emperor is just that cruel. No matter what Lotus Bloom Immortal Venerable thought, you were definitely going to vent this frustration today. Otherwise, if Ba Wu Immortal Venerable kept harassing you, how would you cultivate? Giving him a lesson today to make him behave was also one of your goals. 563. Suppress Luoho and fight against the Lu Alliance. The 4th level of the Immortal Lord, alone in a foreign land. Under your indulgence, demon ancestor Luohu quickly and completely destroyed the primordial continent. His body became complete, and his chi surged, showing signs of a breakthrough to Immortal Venerable. Asura Immortal Venerable said with satisfaction, "It's finally nearing completion." Hearing him say this, a bad feeling arose in your heart. It was as if a certain change would occur once Luohu broke through to Immortal Venerable. You had originally planned to capture Luohu after his breakthrough. Now, it seemed you had to act ahead of time. You directly took action and suppressed Luohu, who was in the midst of his breakthrough. Asura Immortal Venerable was furious, scolding you for being untrustworthy. You said, "Don't speak nonsense with your eyes open. How am I untrustworthy? You agreed to let Luohu destroy the primordial continent. You never said I couldn't suppress Luohu. Now that the primordial continent was destroyed, you had undoubtedly fulfilled your agreement with him." Asura Immortal Venerable was momentarily speechless. That sounds like there's nothing wrong with it. What the hell? His purpose in letting Luohu destroy the primordial continent, besides allowing him to fully revive, was to let him break through to Immortal Venerable. Now, his goal had not been achieved at all. He thought you were holding Luohu to demand more benefits, so he said, "As long as you release him, everything can be discussed." You told him to take out 2 more innate supreme treasures. Asura Immortal Venerable said, "He only has 2 innate supreme treasures left. If he gives them all to you, wouldn't he be defenseless?" You said, "That's not my concern. If you don't give them, I'll tear up the ticket." Asura Immortal Venerable gritted his teeth in anger, but in the end, he compromised and gave you the remaining 2 innate supreme treasures. "Hey, you really gave them to me, didn't you?" You smiled and accepted the 2 innate supreme treasures, but you had no intention of releasing him. The fact that Asura Immortal Venerable was willing to hand over his entire fortune meant that Luohu was absolutely of great importance and extraordinary significance to him. Moreover, Luohu was also an Emperor star. How could you possibly release him? Asura Immortal Venerable saw that he had been tricked by you and left in a huff. He couldn't defeat you before, and now that he didn't have a decent weapon, he naturally couldn't defeat you even more. However, he was at Immortal Venerable 7th realm, and if you wanted to keep him, it would not be easy. You knew that Asura Immortal Venerable would not give up easily. So, your Tao body immediately sent Luohu to Yuzhan Mountain without stopping. Afterward, your Tao body began to consolidate the forces of the Reincarnation Heavenly Palace to prevent any unexpected incidents. After all, there were still many of your other selves in the Reincarnation Heavenly Palace. If they were caught off guard and wiped out, the loss would be enormous. Even though your innate spirit was already complete, you could still integrate these other selves to strengthen your true spirit and Tao soul. And in this simulation, due to your increased strength, your cultivation standards were higher. You would only devour your other selves when they broke through to quasi-immortal emperor. If all of these more than 100 million other selves were devoured, it would be enough to more than double the strength of your true spirit and Tao soul. After Asura Immortal Venerable left, he spent about a year finding the sky-covering Immortal Venerable, who was recovering from his injuries. He came to invite sky-covering Immortal Venerable to join him in retrieving demon ancestor Luohu. Sky-covering Immortal Venerable had been severely wounded by you before, and even the limitless Immortal Venerable and Red Dust Demon Venerable, who were from the sky-covering domain, had perished at your hands. Between him and you, it was an endless feud. Asura Immortal Venerable believed that sky-covering Immortal Venerable could not refuse him. And indeed, sky-covering Immortal Venerable readily agreed. But he had one condition, which was to fully recover from his injuries first. He could not confront you in a severely injured state. The longer the delay, the more disadvantageous it would be for Asura Immortal Venerable. To help sky-covering Immortal Venerable recover from his injuries as quickly as possible, Asura Immortal Venerable took out many precious healing holy objects. At the same time, he also traveled around, seeking other forces that could form an alliance, creating the Anti-Lu Alliance to target you together. Your talent was beyond imagination, causing many otherworldly Immortal Exalted to be wary. Now, under the leadership of Asura Immortal Venerable, many otherworldly Immortal Exalted were indeed willing to join him in dealing with you. 2 years passed in a flash. You had completely comprehended the essence of the Destruction Tao Principle. Your Destruction Tao Principle finally reached perfection. Your strength increased once again. You felt that your strength was similar to Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable, who had just broken through to Immortal Venerable 8th Realm not long ago. Next, you began to engrave the Destruction Tao Principle into your ancestral court. At the same time, sky-covering Immortal Venerable emerged from seclusion, his injuries fully recovered. He and Asura Immortal Venerable and others began to attack your reincarnation heavenly palace, hoping to draw you out. Although your Tao body had the strength to defeat them, you still chose to remain inactive. Your main body was about to break through to Immortal Venerable 4th Realm, and your strength would increase significantly. By then, you would be able to capture all of them in one fell swoop, leaving them no chance to escape. Acting now would only alert the enemy and be counterproductive. With you not taking action, the forces of the reincarnation heavenly palace in the Chaos Realm were quickly uprooted. However, most of the elite forces and resources had already been transferred by you to the Chongsheng world. Your actual losses were not very significant, you would just need to spend a little time rebuilding later. And your evasive behavior made sky-covering Immortal Venerable and others believe that you were timid. The other Immortal Venerable in the Immortal Reverence Hall also looked on as if watching a good show. These days, you had been stealing all the limelight. Now, you were finally getting a taste of defeat. Especially Ba Wu Immortal Venerable, who was reportedly overjoyed and even held a grand feast for 3 days. 1 year later, you finally engraved the Destruction Tao Principle into your ancestral court. You successfully broke through to Immortal Venerable 4th Realm. Your strength greatly increased, comparable to a strong expert in Immortal Venerable 8th Realm. Your combat power far surpassed Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable, who had just broken through. You finally emerged from seclusion. These days, sky-covering Immortal Venerable, Asura Immortal Venerable, and others were truly in the limelight. They didn't even bother to hide and directly stayed in the Asura domain. At this moment, they were discussing their next plan to target you. If you kept staying in Yuzan Mountain, they would be helpless against you. They had to find a way to make you act. However, at this moment, a grand voice came from outside the domain. No need to discuss, Lu has already arrived. Sky-covering and Asura were both surprised and delighted. They were surprised that you dared to venture into the otherworldly domain alone. One should know that there were not only 2 Immortal Venerable 7th Realm in the Asura domain, but also several other Immortal Venerable. Although their realm was lower than the 2, combined, they could pose a threat to an Immortal Venerable 7th Realm. It was equivalent to having 3 Immortal Venerable 7th Realm experts on the field. They were delighted that you had finally left Yuzan Mountain. No matter what confidence you had, as long as you dared to appear, everyone would have a way to severely injure you. You appeared on the field and said indifferently, "Come at me, all of you." 564. Invincible power, kill them all. The Demon Emperor takes action, and the Demon Star is born. Seeing how arrogant you are, covering heaven Immortal Venerable sneered, do you think that by defeating Ba Wu, you are truly invincible at the Immortal Venerable 7th level? Come out, time Immortal Venerable. Another figure appeared on the field. The newcomer was none other than the time Immortal Venerable, who was at the Immortal Venerable 5th level. Although his realm was only Immortal Venerable 5th level, he controlled the supreme time laws. His true strength was by no means inferior to that of an Immortal Venerable 7th level. Time Immortal Venerable had always considered himself neutral, rarely interfering in the disputes between the 9 heavens and 10 earths and the foreign domain. This time, covering heaven and the others must have offered some kind of bargaining chip to actually persuade him to act. After time Immortal Venerable appeared, without a word, he set up a time barrier, trapping you within it. Asura Immortal Venerable said with confidence, now, quickly hand over Rahu, otherwise, if your Tao foundation is destroyed, it will be too late for regret. You smiled faintly, very good, it seems you are all here. Then, you took out the god-slaying spear. Under this spear, everything vanished into thin air. The hundreds of millions of miles of Asura domain turned into dust, scattering in all directions. Centered on this spear, in the endless void realm, nothing remained. The time barrier was directly shattered. Covering heaven, Asura, time, and the others all suffered severe injuries and vomited blood. As for the Immortal Venerables whose realm was below theirs, they were instantly annihilated, dead beyond dead. The 3 of them showed expressions of horror. This level of strength was definitely not Immortal Venerable 7th level. You had a breakthrough. Asura Immortal Venerable's voice trembled. But how is this possible? It hasn't even been 10 years since your last breakthrough. You sneered coldly, you few jumping fools, you think you can defeat me just by numerical advantage. What a pipe dream. With that, you raised the god-slaying spear again. And at this moment, Ba Wu Immortal Venerable appeared on the field with several Immortal Venerables from the Immortal Reverence Hall. Ba Wu Immortal Venerable said that these few people must not be killed, otherwise it would easily provoke the great Diaresis Heavenly Devil from the foreign domain to act. The great Diaresis Heavenly Devil is an Immortal Venerable 10th level. Once he acts, you will surely die, and the Immortal Reverence Hall will also suffer heavy losses. Haha, when you were at a disadvantage, these people didn't appear, but now they jump out to act as impartial mediators. Do you really think you don't know what they're plotting? It's nothing more than seeing your immense power and wanting to keep these 3 alive despite you. The person Lu wants to kill, no one in heaven or on earth can save. After speaking, you struck out with another spear. Covering heaven and Asura Immortal Venerables screamed and perished on the spot. As for time Immortal Venerable, who was proficient in time laws, he hid in the past. But you still pulled him out and beat him to death. With 7 or 8 Immortal Venerables falling consecutively, heaven and earth mourned together, bloody rain fell, and anomalies shook the world. Whether it was the 9 heavens and 10 earths or the Immortal Venerables of the foreign domain, they were all profoundly shocked and filled with fear. Even killing an Immortal Venerable 7th level was like slaughtering a dog. In the Chaos Realm, who else could restrain you? Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable also had a solemn gaze. She originally thought it would take tens of thousands more years for your strength to surpass hers, but she didn't expect this day to come so quickly. But what worried her was, since you had killed so many Immortal Venerables from the foreign domain, would the great Diaresis Heavenly Devil act? Although Ba Wu Immortal Venerable's previous obstruction had his own ulterior motives, what he said was not entirely unreasonable. Because your actions broke the balance between the 9 heavens and 10 earths and the foreign domain. As the ballast of the foreign domain, the great Diaresis Heavenly Devil was very likely not to stand idly by. However, at this moment, a figure, unexpected by everyone, made a move. It was a figure with black blood flowing from his body, seated high on the Emperor seat. It was none other than the Immortal Venerable 10th level, Emperor Demon Immortal Venerable. He was originally from the 9 heavens and 10 earths, and no one expected him to make a move. Anomaly, threat, should be obliterated. Emperor Demon Immortal Venerable rose from his Emperor seat, his eyes cold. He stretched out a large hand, from which black blood flowed, and grabbed at you. Wherever the black blood dripped, even the void realm was corrupted. Below Immortal Venerable 5th level, unless one mastered one of the top 10 Supreme Tao Principles, it would be very difficult to resist this corrosive power. And this was just the inherent power of the black blood. At this moment, it was Emperor Demon Immortal Venerable actively making a move, and the power was even harder to imagine. Ba Wu Immortal Venerable quickly hid far away, with a look of schadenfreude. You actually had another breakthrough in realm in less than 10 years. And it was a breakthrough with the supreme Tao principles. This speed of cultivation was unheard of even in other epochs. If you relied on the sacrificed demon star, everyone could understand, but you had no world-destroying power on you at all. This meant that all your cultivation today came from your own efforts. This was undoubtedly terrifying. It severely threatened Yu Zondaozen's emperor seat. Even if you joined the Immortal Reverence Hall, Emperor Demon Immortal Venerable would still act. After all, the purpose of Yu Zondaozen leaving Emperor Demon Immortal Venerable behind was to eliminate all threats. Emperor Demon Immortal Venerable didn't care if this threat came from the foreign domain or the 9 heavens and 10 earths. However, there was not the slightest trace of panic on your face. You sent out 3 Tao body to block the large black blood hand. But your main body took out a large doomsday altar, much larger than a regular doomsday altar. This doomsday altar had undergone fusion with several other altars. It was something you had prepared long ago. Behind you, there were still dozens of densely packed figures. Butian Daozi, Yuan Yan, Tian Hao, Fei Peng, Yang Jian, Nezha, Daji, Rahu. These were all the emperor stars you had collected over the years. The simultaneous appearance of so many emperor stars caused the faces of all the immortal venerables secretly observing to change dramatically. Good heavens, so you were planning something big. By collecting so many emperor stars, you must have had the idea of contending for the immortal emperor position early on. Jade Universe Celestial Venerable's face also changed, and he cried out that he had been fooled. He originally thought you had already mastered the Yuxuan Golden Chapter, but now it seemed you hadn't cultivated at all. If you had cultivated it, you wouldn't have collected Emperor stars at all. So you joined the Immortal Reverence Hall with ulterior motives from the start. Perhaps you had been preparing for this day all along. However, he misunderstood you. You were of great virtue and kindness, and originally had no intention of walking the path of a demon star. However, this was a dog-eat-dog world. Your kindness did not bring any benefits. Instead, it made others think you were easy to bully. For example, covering Heaven Immortal Venerable, Asura Immortal Venerable, and also the Emperor Demon Immortal Venerable before you. They gradually squeezed your living space. They were the culprits. You were originally kind. Reaching this point today was all because they forced you. 565. Crazy Sacrifice, 5th level of immortality. The land of reincarnation, the ancient underworld god. When the demonic Immortal Venerable saw so many emperor stars, his expression changed, and he began to unleash his full power. In just an instant, he destroyed your 3 Tao bodies. And by then, you had already thrown the dozen or so emperor stars behind you into the doomsday altar. The great existence in the ethereal realm arrived as promised. He exuded an astonished emotion. Sacrificing so many emperor stars at once was rare in previous epochs. Then he offered a choice, letting you pick one from cultivation, immortal artifacts, or immortal techniques, or make other requests yourself. You naturally chose cultivation without hesitation. This time, you chose to comprehend the reincarnation Tao principles, which ranked 6th. Countless Tao experiences flooded your mind. The reincarnation Tao principles. A. Introduction. Minor achievement. Major achievement. In just a few short moments, it was already perfection. As expected, sacrificing is still the most satisfying. This speed of improvement is like riding a rocket. The reincarnation Tao principles govern all life and death reincarnation in the chaos realm. You originally created the reincarnation heavenly palace based on the reincarnation rules. Compared to the reincarnation Tao principles, the reincarnation rules were undoubtedly very superficial. They only allowed you to touch the surface of reincarnation. When you fully comprehended the reincarnation Tao principles, the true grand reincarnation system completely and thoroughly appeared before you. That place is beyond the chaos realm. It is also the destination of countless living beings after death. Some call it the underworld, while others call it the land of reincarnation. You can see countless spirits undergoing reincarnation through the underworld. Within the underworld, there are also some ancient underworld gods. Their strength is formidable, comparable to an immortal venerable. The strongest among them is not much weaker than the demonic Immortal Venerable. The moment you fully comprehended the reincarnation Tao principles, many ancient underworld gods sensed it. It seems that another existence capable of freely entering the underworld has appeared between heaven and earth. Of course, your comprehension of the reincarnation Tao principles was not merely about entering the underworld. You also automatically grasped a trace of reincarnation authority, allowing you to alter the reincarnation body of others. Even a supreme immortal would find it difficult to escape your methods. As for those above the supreme immortal, it seems more reincarnation authority is needed. You can sense that many ancient underworld gods possess reincarnation authority. You wonder if you can seize it. However, your current priority is to deal with the threat of the demonic immortal Venerable, so you don't have time to focus on that. After comprehending the reincarnation Tao principles, your strength greatly increased. You directly use the reincarnation authority to trap the demonic immortal Venerable's consciousness in layers of reincarnation to slow down his offensive. And your main body's improvement was still ongoing. With the help of the sacrificial power, the reincarnation Tao principles began to be inscribed on your ancestral court. What would have originally taken 1 or 2 years was now completed in an instant. The moment the reincarnation Tao principles were completely inscribed, you successfully broke through to Immortal Venerable 5th realm. Your strength increased again, far surpassing Immortal Venerable 8th realm. You believe you should now be no weaker than an Immortal Venerable 9th realm. It's just that there's a gap in strength in the Chaos realm, and there are no Immortal Venerable 9th realm powerhouses. It just makes it difficult for you to compare for a while. And after your breakthrough was completed, the power brought by the sacrifice slowly dissipated. That's it, you were a little surprised. A dozen Emperor stars were only enough for you to advance 1 realm. You thought you could advance several realms. Of course, it's also possible that you comprehended the Supreme Tao principles. If you had inscribed ordinary Tao principles, perhaps you could have advanced 2 more realms. However, you would definitely not do that. Inscribing ordinary Tao principles would not greatly increase your strength. And it would also occupy your precious inscription slots. It would be completely not worth it. At this moment, the demonic immortal Venerable's consciousness broke through the layers of reincarnation you had set up and attacked you again. You summoned 3 Tao bodies, and they were actually able to briefly contend with him. No longer being utterly defenseless. But going on like this isn't a solution either. You still need to continue sacrificing to increase your strength. And you also have a grander goal. That is to become the child of extinction. You already knew that the child of extinction has 3 major characteristics. They are the undying trait, the world-destroying trait, and the destruction trait. The world-destroying trait is mainly used to increase cultivation. The destruction trait is related to quickly comprehending destruction side Tao principles. And what you need most at the moment is the undying trait. Once you become the child of extinction, it will be difficult for anyone below Immortal Emperor to completely kill you. By then, the demonic Immortal Venerable and even Yu Zhan Daozhen will no longer be a huge threat to you. However, there are only 2 ways to become the child of extinction. One is to reduce the number of Emperor stars to less than 5. The other is for the epic child to be born early, and since you have the most world-destroying power, you will definitely follow closely and become the child of extinction. When the epic child will be born is not something you can predict. But reducing the number of Emperor stars is something you are very good at. Currently, you still know the whereabouts of 5 Emperor stars. They are Jehu Qing, the grand disciple of the Immortal Venerable of Time, Hu Yunjiang, the disciple of Yaoqi Jade Mother, and Shao Shu Immortal King, the disciple of Jade Universe Celestial Venerable. Of course, Shao Shu Immortal King is also your other self. Previously, due to the relationship with the Immortal Reverence Hall, you did not make a move against him. Now that the cards are on the table, what else is there to worry about? The last 2 are at the Great Sun Tathagata Temple. One is Eastern Arrival Buddha Reverence, and the other is a more deeply hidden unknown Emperor Star. Sacrificing the star fates of these 5 people would allow your strength to increase significantly again. It's just that the demonic Immortal Venerable is like a persistent plaster, impossible to shake off for a while, making it difficult for you to take action. So you directly entered the underworld. This is the core of the Chaos Realm's grand reincarnation system. Only those who have fully comprehended the reincarnation rules or have died can enter. Unexpectedly, the demonic Immortal Venerable actually chased you in. You didn't sense the aura of the reincarnation Tao principles from him. How did he get in? It can't be that he's a dead person, can it? In the underworld, the power of your reincarnation authority greatly increased. You began to probe the essence of the demonic Immortal Venerable. He really is a dead person. His body was lifeless, as if he had been dead for a long time. His Tao soul was also in a dormant state. If an ordinary Immortal Venerable were like him, he would have already died, or his true spirit would be sleeping in the long river of history. It seems this might be Yu Zondaozen's doing. You sent a message to the various ancient underworld gods in the underworld, saying that whoever could block the demonic Immortal Venerable for a moment, you would bestow the reincarnation authority in your hand upon them. Immediately, many ancient underworld gods were eager to try. 566. The power of authority, the death of Yu. Sweeping all enemies, the power of the sun. These ancient sea are not lacking in prehistoric powerhouses. And they are in a spirit-body state, and they also control reincarnation authority, so they are not afraid of Immortal Venerable in the underworld, Finally, 5 powerful ancient sea in the underworld made their move. Each of these 5 ancient sea had a cultivation base no weaker than Immortal Venerable. But they were still far from Immortal Venerable. However, by jointly using reincarnation authority, they were actually able to trap Immortal Venerable. This made your eyes light up. The reincarnation authority in the hands of the 5 great sea combined was less than 1/10. If all reincarnation authority were collected, wouldn't it be able to contend with a quasi-immortal emperor? How dare you oppose me? Yu Zondaozen will not spare you when he returns. Immortal Venerable was furious. I didn't expect that someone would actually dare to help you. Among the 5 great sea, an ancient existence with 3 heads and 6 arms sneered, according to the ancient agreement, you do not possess reincarnation authority, and trespassing into the underworld and interfering with the operation of reincarnation is a great taboo. It is only natural for Yusa C to attack you, and Yu Zondaozen cannot say anything. Seeing Immortal Venerable trapped, you quickly went to the outside world to collect other Emperor stars. This is a rare opportunity, you must seize it. Your main body went to the place where Shao Shu Immortal King was located. And your 3 Dao bodies went to the Time Tower, Yaoqi Immortal Realm, and Great Sun Tathagata Temple respectively. Shao Shu Immortal King was staying in the Jade capital city of 7th Heaven. You arrived at this place, stretched out your large hand, and grabbed the entire Jade capital city into your palm. Jade Universe Celestial Venerable, seeing this, quickly appeared. He didn't understand why you suddenly attacked his Jade capital city. He asked if there was some misunderstanding. You slapped him, shattering his body. You said, "Don't think I don't know about his collusion with Ba Wu Immortal Venerable." Previously, when he investigated your strength for Ba Wu Immortal Venerable, he had already violated your taboo. You walked step by step to him and asked him if he had any last words. Jade Universe Celestial Venerable, while spitting blood, reached out and said, "Wait, it was I who invited you to join the Immortal Reverence Hall back then, so shouldn't that balance things out?" When Immortal Reverence Hall was mentioned, you smiled. You said, "The Jade Universe Golden Chapter, that old fellow, he gave it to you, right? He had long harbored ill intentions, and he deserved to die even more." After saying that, you slapped him to death, and forever suppressed his true spirit in reincarnation. Unless a quasi-immortal emperor takes action, there is absolutely no possibility of his resurrection. The other Immortal Venerables of the Immortal Reverence Hall, seeing this, all hid in Yuzan Mountain. Your strength is comparable to Immortal Venerable 9th level. Immortal Venerable is also trapped. No one in the Immortal Reverence Hall is your match. Even if they unite, they can only resist for a short time. Besides, they are not united, and they cannot unite at all. And Yuzan Mountain has restrictions laid down by Yu Zondaozen. Even an Immortal Venerable 10th level would find it difficult to break in. Only by hiding there can they be relatively safe. Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable also looked at this place from Yuzan Mountain, and she sighed slightly. After killing Jade Universe Celestial Venerable, from now on, you are completely at odds with the Immortal Reverence Hall. Of course, this is not entirely your fault. If Immortal Venerable hadn't suddenly attacked, you wouldn't have been forced to this point. And Immortal Venerable's attack was also for Yu Zondaozen's Dao path. The struggle for the Great Dao is just this cruel and ruthless. After capturing Shao Shu Immortal King, you directly refined his true spirit. Anyway, he has already cultivated to the quasi-immortal Emperor realm. There's no need to keep his true spirit. On the other side, your Dao body arrived at Immortal Venerable's territory, only to find the place empty. The Time Tower, which had stood there for billions of years, had been stolen by someone unknown. You traced back time and found that not long after Immortal Venerable fell, an Immortal Venerable from another realm named Bitter Sea suddenly attacked and stole the Time Tower. Immortal Venerable died by your hand, and the Time Tower, being his magic treasure, is naturally your spoils of war. How dare he steal your things? He's courting death. This bitter sea Immortal Venerable dared to make a move. Naturally he had some reliance. Firstly, his strength was not weak, he was an Immortal Venerable 7th level. Secondly, his Space Tao principles were at major achievement, and his hiding ability was exceptionally astonishing. He was confident that even you wouldn't be able to find him. If you hadn't comprehended reincarnation Tao principle, you really wouldn't have been able to find him. But as long as his true spirit had entered the reincarnation land, it would definitely leave a karma connection, making escape impossible. All living beings born in this epoch came into the world through the land of reincarnation, which is the underworld. Innate spirits are no exception. Innate spirits were merely born before the creation of heaven and earth. And before the creation of heaven and earth, the underworld already existed. Bitter Sea Immortal Venerable is an innate heavenly god of this epoch, not a prehistoric powerhouse. You quickly found his location through reincarnation authority. Die for me. You didn't even need to use the god-slaying spear. With just a serious punch, you shattered Bitter Sea Immortal Venerable's soul flying away and spirit scattering. If it were an ordinary Immortal Venerable 9th level, they would not be able to easily kill an Immortal Venerable 7th level. But your ancestral court is inscribed with supreme Tao principles. Although your combat strength is at Immortal Venerable 9th level, your various methods are more formidable than those of an Immortal Venerable 9th level. For example, the Destruction Tao principle can kill him, and the Reincarnation Tao principle can ensure he never reincarnates. Falling into your hands is 10 times more miserable than falling into the hands of an Immortal Venerable 9th level. After killing Bitter Sea Immortal Venerable, your Tao body successfully reclaimed the Time Tower and captured Jehu, who was cultivating inside. Jehu was still in seclusion. He had no idea that the outside world had been turned upside down, and even his greatest backer had fallen. Never mind, foolish people have foolish blessings. You are greatly virtuous and kind, so let him continue to cultivate for a while. When he enters the Doomsday Altar, he will know the whole story. At this moment, your other Tao body also destroyed the Yaoqi Immortal Realm and captured Hu Yunjiang. Yaoqi Jade Mother, hiding in Yuzan Mountain, watched this scene with gnashing teeth. But she still didn't dare to go out. Finally, there was the Great Sun Tathagata Temple. The headquarters of the Immortal Reverence Hall had the protection of restrictions left by Yuzan Daozan. But the Great Sun Tathagata Temple did not have a figure like Yuzan Daozan. So they were very sensible. They directly handed over Eastern Arrival Buddha Reverence and another Emperor star named True Stability. True Stability was at the Immortal Emperor realm, but his age was only a few thousand years old. As expected of the Great Sun Tathagata Temple's hidden trump card, Eastern Arrival Buddha Reverence looked at this scene with a ashen face. It turned out that the sect had long planned to use him as a pawn. Even though the Great Sun Tathagata Temple was very sensible, you did not leave. Instead, you asked them to hand over all the treasures in their sect. This Great Sun Tathagata Temple had more than a dozen innate supreme treasures alone. Other treasures were countless. How could such a large piece of fat be allowed to slip away? 567. The Great Sun Tathagata, the Past Amitabha Sutra. Refining the God-destroying spear, searching the chaos realm. Great Sun World-honored Onia's expression changed. He clasped his hands together and sighed, saying, "A1 should show leniency where possible. My Great Sun Tathagata Temple has already taken a step back. Why must you press so hard, Lu? You said, monks have a good saying, wealth is merely an external possession. You only want some external possessions. World-honored one, you are not becoming attached to appearances, are you? Great Sun World-honored one, Seeing that he still refused to agree, you were about to make a move when suddenly, above the Great Sun Tathagata Temple, a brilliant light erupted. A golden Buddha, representing immeasurable light and immeasurable life, emerged. His aura was terrifying, no less than that of Immortal Venerable Demo. As soon as he appeared, many people in the Great Sun Tathagata Temple knelt down, shouting, Greetings, Ancestral Master. Even Great Sun World-honored one bowed in a disciplia-s salute. Your eyes showed surprise. Could this person be the legendary founder of the Great Sun Tathagata Temple? Great Sun Tathagata. The Great Sun Tathagata Temple has existed for 80 billion years. Its founder was a powerful prehistoric Channa registered expert. He named the Great Sun Tathagata Temple after his own name, Great Sun Tathagata. Great Sun Tathagata only stayed in the temple for about 10 billion years before disappearing. The current Buddha reverences of the great Sun Tathagata temple are basically his disciples. Outside rumors say he went to the Tao ruins realm. However, the records in the Immortal Reverence Hall state that he was in seclusion to break through to Quasi-Immortal Emperor. To break through to Quasi-Immortal Emperor, one must achieve a 3-in-1 state of past, present, and future. Among them, merging with the past space-time is the easiest. After that, the difficulty increases incrementally. Especially the final future space-time, which is constantly changing relative to the present. The difficulty is beyond imagination. Most Immortal Venerable 10th level experts are stuck at this stage, finding it difficult to break through to Quasi-Immortal Emperor. Observing the aura of this golden Buddha, it seems to come from the future space-time. However, there is no oppressive feeling of a Quasi-Immortal Emperor. If your guess is correct, Great Sun Tathagata should be in the final step of merging with the future space-time. He has not truly broken through yet. Even so, his strength should be above that of Immortal Venerable Demo. However, in his current state, he obviously cannot fully exert himself. The golden Buddha formed the wish-granting mudra with his hands, displaying an aura of compassion. Then, he smiled and said, "This is my Tao lineage. I wonder if Lu can give me a little face and not make things difficult for my disciples and grand disciples." You said that you could give face, but since you had already spoken harsh words, you couldn't just take them back, could you? How about he, the ancestral master, gives you some benefits? You didn't ask for much, just some method for breakthrough to Quasi-Immortal Emperor would suffice. As for how to break through to Quasi-Immortal Emperor, you only knew roughly, and had no cultivation method. Even in the Immortal Reverence Hall, Yu Zhandaozhen did not leave behind a corresponding method. After all, his goal was only to cultivate a group of enforcers, not a group of potential threats. Since Great Sun Tathagata dared to go into seclusion to break through, he must have a corresponding breakthrough method. This was far more valuable than the treasures of the Great Sun Tathagata temple. The golden Buddha fell silent, not expecting you to really make such an exorbitant demand. The method for breakthrough to Quasi-Immortal Emperor is extremely precious even in the Tao ruins realm. In terms of value, it is no less than a chaos spiritual treasure. After a while, the golden Buddha continued, I have 3 great scriptures, past Amitabha Sutra, present world Tathagata Sutra, and future Unborn Sutra, which can respectively merge with the past, present, and future space-times. However, only the past Amitabha Sutra can be taught to you. For the latter two, you must join my Buddhist sect. You had only mentioned it casually, so even if he didn't agree, you wouldn't lose anything. You didn't expect him to actually give it. Since he dared to give it, you certainly dared to accept it. You immediately accepted the past Amitabha Sutra from the golden Buddha's hand. You briefly glanced through it and found it to be extremely profound. To comprehend it fully would likely not be the work of a moment. You still had several Emperor stars waiting to be sacrificed, and you were still far from Immortal Venerable 10th level, so you certainly wouldn't immediately begin comprehending it. Afterward, you left the Great Sun Tathagata temple as agreed. Great Sun World Honored One and the others breathed a sigh of relief. However, Great Sun World Honored One asked in confusion, Master, isn't it that past Amitabha Sutra one of our Templia's supreme scriptures? How could it be given away so easily? The golden Buddha smiled, saying, to cultivate the past Amitabha Sutra, one must bear the karma of my Buddhist sect. Perhaps my Great Sun Tathagata temple will gain another expert in the future. Everyone nodded, realizing that the ancestral master had long-term plans. After leaving the Great Sun Tathagata temple, you began sacrificing the 5 Emperor stars you had acquired. You first sacrificed Jehu Qing, who was in seclusion in the Time Tower. When Jehu Qing was pulled out, he looked bewildered. Then, you kindly told him what had happened during this time. He was immediately overcome with sorrow. But before he could grieve for long, he entered the Doomsday Altar. The existence in the ethereal once again descended. This time, you did not increase your cultivation, but rather had him assist you in refining the god-slaying spear. These 5 Emperor stars could not significantly boost your cultivation. It was better to use them to enhance your offensive capabilities. The god-slaying spear is a chaos spiritual treasure. If you could fully refine it, you could contend with Immortal Venerable Demo for a long time. However, one Jehu Qing was not enough for you to fully refine it. You then sacrificed to Yunjiang, and only then did you completely master the god-slaying spear. Previously, you could only utilize its superficial aspects, but now you could unleash its true power. Next, there were 3 more Emperor stars: Immortal King Shao Shu, Eastern Arrival Buddha Reverence, and True Stability Buddha Emperor. You directly sacrificed all of them. This time, you used them to enhance your Honmengdao Palace. The Honmengdao Palace was still an innate spirit treasure. The talent it formed was becoming less and less useful to you. For example, infinite enlightenment now only increased your comprehension ability by a few hundred times. When it first appeared, it could temporarily increase your comprehension ability by 10,000 times. Most critically, you could feel that your Dao Badia's strength was nearing a limit. This was also the limit of the Honmengdao Palace. Therefore, the Honmengdao Palace had reached a point where it had to be upgraded. You just didn't know if sacrificing these 3 Emperor stars would allow the Honmengdao Palace to advance to a chaos spiritual treasure. Under the ethereal mighty power, the Honmengdao Palace emitted a chaos light. Its accumulation slowly reached a limit. It was just a little short of advancing to a chaos spiritual treasure. Chaos spiritual treasure are typically magic treasures used by quasi-immortal emperors. Even though Eastern Arrival Buddha Reverence, one of the 3 Emperor stars, was an immortal venerable, it was difficult for the Honmengdao Palace to immediately advance. Currently, you no longer had any Emperor stars. But this did not deter you. If there were no Emperor stars, then you would go find them. Currently, Immortal Venerable Demo was still trapped in the underworld. Your main body and 3 Dao bodies were conspicuously searching for other Emperor stars within the Chaos realm. Previously, as a demon star, you always hid cautiously, concealed your identity, and acted subserviently. Unlike now, where you swaggered around, openly searching for Emperor stars. Your actions were telling everyone, "Hey, I am the demon star, what are you going to do about it?" 568. 3 Great Imperial Stars, 25 World-Destroying Altars. Honmengdao Palace advances, repel the Emperor and the Devil. With your strength, even if you reveal your identity, no one would dare to attack you. Of course, that's not to say that besides the Immortal Venerable of the Devil Emperor, there isn't anyone in the Chaos realm who can threaten you. The otherworldly realm still has a great Diaresis Heavenly Devil at the Immortal Venerable 10th level. He has always been elusive, like a dragon whose head is seen but not its tail. Since he hasn't attacked you until now, it's highly probable he won't in the future. As for the reason, you can probably guess it. You are now an enemy of the Immortal Reverence Hall in Yuzhan Daozhen. In other words, you are an enemy of the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The stronger you are, the greater the trouble for Yuzhan Daozhen and the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Due to the existence of Yuzhan Daozhen, the otherworldly realm has been suppressed for a long time. The great Diaresis Heavenly Devil must be delighted by this turn of events. With your current strength, you searched the entire Chaos realm in less than a quarter of an hour. Because you possess a sliver of reincarnation authority, even an Immortal Venerable would find it difficult to escape your search. After a thorough search, you actually found 3 Imperial stars. These 3 were the ones who slipped through the cracks in your previous simulations. 2 of them were disciples of otherworldly Immortal Exalted, but their master dared not show his face. He could only watch as you brazenly captured his disciples. What if he refused? Sorry, then it might have been him who got captured. As for the other Imperial stars, they should not have awakened yet. However, there aren't many Imperial stars left, less than 10. Almost all the others have been sacrificed by you alone. During the search, besides the Imperial stars, you also discovered many other demon star companions. As the saying goes, unknown currency registered paragraph mark of fellow tradesmen or enemies. So, you naturally had an obligation to send them to their demise, and incidentally take their doomsday altars. After sweeping through the entire Chaos realm, you found 19 Chaos altars, plus the 6 you had already undergone fusion. This means you now possess a total of 25 doomsday altars. So, where did the other 3 go? It could not be that they are not in the Chaos realm, could it? Or perhaps, they are in the hands of some high-level Immortal Venerables, making them difficult for you to detect for a while. When the number of doomsday altars is reduced to below 5, it will rapidly give rise to an epic child. A. In other words, when the epic child appears is now entirely at your discretion. A. However, the matter of the Immortal Reverence Hall has not yet been resolved, so you certainly cannot allow the epic child to appear so early. A. Therefore, you underwent fusion with 16 of them. A. After the fusion, you were left with only 4 doomsday altars. A. Even if the other 3 doomsday altars you haven't discovered were all fused, there would still be 5 altars in the world. A. This would prevent the epic child from appearing prematurely. A. Having undergone fusion with so many altars, your original doomsday altar became several times larger than an ordinary altar. A. The dense world-destroying power within it could be felt by every immortal venerable in the entire Chaos realm. A. The more Chaos altars that undergo fusion, the greater the reward after sacrifice. A. If your strength wasn't too profound, someone would surely have been unable to resist trying to snatch them. A. But the current you is clearly fearless. A. As long as it's not the immortal venerable of the Devil Emperor, the great Diaresis heavenly devil, or the most ancient nether god of myriad calamities from the netherworld who attacks you. A. The hundreds of other immortal venerables, even if they united, would find it very difficult to snatch anything from your hands. A. Strength is your greatest confidence. A. After the doomsday altars underwent fusion, you threw in the imperial star with the lowest cultivation. A. His cultivation was only at the supreme immortal king realm, but the strange power feedback after the sacrifice was surprisingly not inferior to that of the Eastern arrival Buddha reverence previously. A. Under this peculiar power, your Hongmengdao palace finally began its transformation. A. After half an incense stick of time, the transformation was complete. A. Your Hongmengdao palace successfully advanced to a chaos spirit treasure. A. Just at this moment. A. The immortal venerable of the Devil Emperor finally broke free from the 5 great nether gods. A. The 5 great nether gods were severely wounded by him and went into hiding. A. He wanted to continue pursuing them to vent his anger. A. The strongest nether god of myriad calamities in the netherworld suddenly spoke. Devil Emperor, the netherworld is not a place for you to act wildly. Know when to stop. When the 5 great nether gods attacked him, the nether god of myriad calamities said nothing. But now he came out. It was clearly biased intervention. The immortal venerable of the Devil Emperor laughed in extreme anger. Good. When Yuzan Daozen returns, I will demand an explanation from the netherworld. Afterward, he continued to attack you. You had sacrificed nearly 20 imperial stars, and the dense world-destroying power on your body was like a bright lamp in the dark, impossible to hide. And this time, you had no intention of hiding. After the Hongmengdao palace advanced, all your talents were comprehensively enhanced. Moreover, you had completely refined the god-slaying spear. This time, you wanted to see who was stronger. You and the immortal venerable of the Devil Emperor once again engaged in a fierce battle. A terrifying power formed a storm, sweeping away one immortal realm dimension after another. The immortal venerable of the Devil Emperor was both shocked and enraged, not expecting that after being trapped for only about an hour, your strength could actually increase so significantly. A demon star is indeed terrifying. This further solidified his determination to kill you. Previously, he wanted to capture you and hand you over to Yuzan Daozen for disposal. Now, his killing moves were continuous, each one aimed at taking your life. Of course, with your current strength, he couldn't afford to hold back at all. Otherwise, he would definitely be the one getting injured. One must know that your true realm is only Immortal Venerable 5th level. To be able to fight across 5 realms is simply a monster among monsters. After a long battle with the Immortal Venerable of the Devil Emperor, you finally confirmed your strength. Currently, with full power unleashed, you can completely contend with an Immortal Venerable 10th level. However, this state cannot be maintained indefinitely, it can last for at most 2 hours. The main reason is the immense consumption of the god-slaying spear. 2 hours would basically exhaust all your Dao power. But this is also extremely astonishing. It represents a huge improvement in your strength. Afterward, you began to use infinite enlightenment and the eye of illusory breaking to find the immortal venerable of the Devil Emperor's weaknesses. After the Hongmeng Dao Palace transformed into a chaos spirit treasure. The comprehension ability amplified by infinite enlightenment, although it didn't reach 10,000 times, still reached 4,000 times. Your basic comprehension ability was already comparable to around Immortal Venerable 8th level, and now with a 4,000 times amplification, it was truly terrifying. With just one glance, you saw the restriction left by Yu Zhan Daozhen within the Immortal Venerable of the Devil Emperor's body. You thrust out a spear, directly attacking the restriction, which immediately caused the Immortal Venerable of the Devil Emperor's aura to fall into disarray. The Immortal Venerable of the Devil Emperor felt his own strength was at risk of losing control, his face changed dramatically, and he hurriedly fled in a panic. Not long after the Immortal Venerable of the Devil Emperor fled. Previously, the 5 ancient nether gods who helped you trap him came to you, demanding the reincarnation authority. After all, this was what you had promised them. They had fulfilled your request, and now it was time for you to repay them. You took out the palace disguised as the Hongmeng Dao Palace and enthusiastically greeted them. This reincarnation authority is very precious. How it will be distributed needs to be thoroughly discussed. Come, please come in quickly. 569. Kill the Hades and seize power. Reincarnation contract, the threat of eternal calamity. The Hongmeng Dao Palace is a chaos spiritual treasure completely under your control. You naturally know its functions. It does not just enhance talent, it also has a powerful enemy trapping effect. It's just that in the past, for caution's sake, you rarely used it. Now that you roam the chaos realm, there's naturally nothing to worry about. Using it to refine these 5 ancient nether gods is perfectly suitable. The 5 ancient nether gods want the reincarnation authority in your hands. But they don't know that you also covet the reincarnation authority in their hands. After all, this is a powerful weapon that can contend against Immortal Venerable Demo. If you obtain it, it will undoubtedly add another trump card for self-preservation. The 5 ancient nether gods did not detect anything unusual about the palace disguised as the Hongmeng Dao Palace. Even so, they are old antiques who have lived for countless epochs. With their cautious nature, they would not easily step inside. You smiled and said, "Are you still worried that I have ill intentions towards you? You have the nether god of myriad calamities backing you. I have already provoked Immortal Venerable Demo and will not create another powerful enemy for myself. Perhaps in the future, I may even need to seek your help again." The 5 nether gods nodded, thinking what you said made sense. If you provoked 2 Immortal Venerable 10th level powerhouses simultaneously, you wouldn't be able to handle it. How could we suspect Immortal Venerable Chongsheng? The 3-headed, 6-armed existence among the 5 nether gods laughed heartily and was the first to enter the palace. The other 4 nether gods had no choice but to follow him. Forget it, I'll give you some face for now. However, as soon as the last one stepped in, you immediately activated the power of the Hongmeng Dao Palace. The 5 nether gods' expressions changed drastically, not expecting that you actually had malicious intentions. And this was also a chaos spiritual treasure. Don't you only have the god-slaying spear as a chaos spiritual treasure in your hand? Is it because of the previous sacrifice? The 3-headed, 6-armed nether god roared, "Immortal Venerable Chongsheng, we have shown you kindness. Are you going to repay kindness with enmity?" You chuckled, "It's just a transaction, what kindness is there? Now I'm going to make another deal with you, exchange your reincarnation authority for your lives." Another nether god with a dragon head and tiger body snorted coldly, "The reincarnation authority is the foundation of our existence in the netherworld. You will not get it. As long as we hold on for a moment, when the nether god of myriad calamities discovers the anomaly, it will be your doomsday." You shook your head, not expecting these guys to be so naive. The nether god of myriad calamities was indeed a threat, but it was difficult to threaten your life. You should know that your infinite enlightenment is constantly refreshed under time acceleration. As long as the nether god of myriad calamities has weaknesses, it remains to be seen who will win. After that, you stopped speaking and began to refine the 5 nether gods with all your might. Even if they had the reincarnation authority in their hands, the Hongmeng Dao Palace isolated the netherworld, making it difficult for its power to even be 1/10,000th effective. This was also why you lured them in. The 5 nether gods finally changed color and began to beg for mercy. However, your expression was indifferent, completely unmoved. After 1 incense stick's time, you refined the 5 nether gods into ashes. The reincarnation authority in their hands was also completely absorbed by you. The reincarnation authority from the 5 of them combined was nearly 1/10. Coupled with the reincarnation authority in your hand, it completely reached 1/10. You could sense that your influence over the netherworld and the great reincarnation system had greatly increased. In the netherworld, your strength could even double. Even Immortal Venerable Demo would not be your opponent. Even outside the netherworld, you could use the great reincarnation system to enhance your strength. However, it could only increase by about 1/3, which was still quite considerable. If you could collect all the authority, presumably, the effect would be even more astonishing. With the death of the 5 nether gods and the transfer of the reincarnation authority in the netherworld, other nether gods who held the reincarnation authority sensed it. Who has such great ability to obtain so much reincarnation authority at once? When the nether gods perceived it was you, they were immediately relieved. It seems those 5 fools contributed it to you. There were over 70 nether gods who held the reincarnation authority. When you offered the reincarnation authority as a reward to invite the nether gods to block Immortal Venerable Demo for you, most nether gods did not believe it. Only those 5 guys believed it. As a result, they didn't get your reincarnation authority, instead, they lost their own. Perhaps, this was a form of elimination, first eliminating the fools. However, your actions caused many nether gods to worry. Your strength was too great. What if you seized the reincarnation authority in their hands? Everyone wanted the reincarnation authority. The nether gods in the netherworld had coexisted peacefully for so many years. This relied on the reincarnation contract in the netherworld. The reincarnation contract stipulated that only when an epic entered destruction could one seize the reincarnation authority from other nether gods. But you had not signed the reincarnation contract and did not need to abide by this rule. Many nether gods found the nether god of myriad calamities, hoping he would resolve this matter. The nether god of myriad calamities naturally did not want you to annex too much reincarnation authority. That way, he would lose his first mover advantage. So, he quickly represented the nether gods of the netherworld and found you, hoping you would immediately sign the reincarnation contract. After understanding what the reincarnation contract was, you certainly did not want to sign it. If you signed it, wouldn't it be putting a shackles on yourself? However, to stabilize the nether god of myriad calamities, you did not directly refuse but said you would consider it for a few years. The nether god of myriad calamities himself was astonishingly strong, and he also had a group of powerful nether gods behind him. If they united, they would be 10 times more dangerous than Immortal Venerable Demo. Especially the reincarnation authority in their hands, its power was not small. The nether god of myriad calamities obviously knew your little scheme. You merely wanted to stall for time and increase your strength. He said he could only give you half a year. After half a year, if you still refused to sign, then you could not blame the netherworld for uniting with Immortal Venerable Demo to deal with you. After you agreed, the nether god of myriad calamities then left. Half a year was very short even for a mortal, and even more so for an Immortal Venerable. However, he still underestimated you. For you, this was not short enough to raise your strength to another level. You still had 2 imperial stars that had not been sacrificed. You directly sacrificed them to comprehend the causality laws, which ranked 5th. 570. The law of cause and effect, good causes and bad causes. 5 cause and effect lines, is the gold content going to increase? 1 karma, 1 cause, encompassing all things. Almost nothing can escape the scope of karma. All heavenly mystery deduction techniques are basically related to causality laws. This is also why its ranking is ahead of reincarnation Tao principles. If you can comprehend the causality laws, your life-saving ability can be greatly enhanced. However, its difficulty is too high. Many immortal venerables in the chaos realm have lived for hundreds of billions of years and have only barely managed to get started. But the large doomsday altar formed by the fusion of 22 doomsday altars is too powerful in its effect. Although it's only 2 Immortal Emperor realm imperial stars, it directly brought your causality laws to the major achievement realm. Your heavenly mystery deduction ability has sharply increased by a large margin. All kinds of future fortunes and misfortunes flash before your eyes, giving you more methods of avoidance. Not only that, but you also saw the karma lines on various living beings. Karma lines are black and white. Black represents evil karma and bad results, while white represents good karma and good results. If you sever some of these karma lines, you undoubtedly indirectly change their destiny. Then you turned your gaze to yourself. You also have many karma lines on yourself, but most of them are black to the point of being purple. These dense black karma lines have even darkened your complexion. How could you, a dignified longevity immortal venerable, of great virtue and kindness, have so many black karma lines? It seems these karma lines might also lead to self-destruction. However, the 5 thickest karma lines on you are hidden in a mist, making them unclear to you. This indicates that the karma power behind them is astonishing. Even the major achievement causality laws can hardly make them fully manifest. Among the karma lines that can be seen clearly, the thickest one is related to the immortal reverence hall. This is naturally also a karma line that is black to the point of being purple. And as time passes, it grows thicker. This indicates that the karma with the immortal reverence hall is constantly increasing its threat to you. Of course, you know that this is because, as time progresses, the time for Yu Zhandaozin's return is constantly shortening. The threat to you naturally grows larger and larger. However, what makes you curious is, even the karma with Yu Zhandaozin, a quasi-immortal emperor, can be seen clearly. How can there still be 5 karma lines above him? These wouldn't be karma related to an immortal emperor, would they? When did you provoke so much terrifying karma? You have no idea. You originally thought Yu Zhandaozin was the biggest boss you faced, but now you see, he's just a small fry. However, to see these karma clearly, you probably have to wait until the causality laws reach perfection. Afterward, you again activated the highest time flow rate of 100,000 times in the time tower. 3 months later in the outside world, you continuously used the enhanced infinite enlightenment and finally comprehended the causality laws to the perfection realm. At this time, those 5 thick karma lines that were previously unclear finally emerged. The thickest one is the karma related to the transcendent mark. To your relief, this is a white karma line, representing good karma and good results. The most powerful karma is actually good karma and good results. Not bad, it hasn't disgraced your reputation of great virtue and kindness. Next is a karma line as black as ink. This is the karma related to the demon star. As expected, the existence behind the demon star is not a good thing. How many good people can there be among existences that accept sacrifices? Of course, you are an exception. You were forced to. It's just that this karma of the demon star, you don't know how it will descend. If you, as the child of extinction, become an immortal emperor, will this karma line still exist? The third one is the karma related to the ancestral star. This karma line is gray, mostly ominous. Those guys from the ancestral star are indeed petty. Didn't you just offend immortal Reverend Kylie back then? And they actually held a grudge against you. However, when you delved deeper, your expression slightly changed, and you found it was not as you thought. This is not the karma you incurred on Earth Star, but the karma brought by transmigration. Your transmigration is indeed related to the ancestral star. Moreover, the mastermind behind your transmigration is mostly malicious. However, you still cannot clearly investigate the specific origin of the karma. It's just unknown whether the simulator is related to this mastermind. The simulator can directly extract cultivation, which is too heaven-defying. You estimate that even an immortal emperor would find it difficult to create it. If the simulator was also given to you by the mastermind, then this mastermind is quite formidable, and their strength might be above an immortal emperor. Immortal Emperor is the highest realm you currently know. What realm is above Immortal Emperor? You are completely at a loss. Although Immortal Emperor is also known as the end of the Great Tao. But you believe the Tao has no end, and there must be stronger existences. Otherwise, the existence of the simulator cannot be explained at all. It's just, if that's the case, are the 2 thicker karma lines in front also related to something above an Immortal Emperor? You frowned tightly and continued to check. The 4th karma line is related to the god of the Wilderness clan. You have already clarified the origin of the god of the Wilderness clan in the Immortal Reverence Hall. He is the immortal emperor of the 6th epocha, the God Tao era. He established the heavenly court in the God Tao era and unified the entire epoch. People of that epoch called him Wild Heaven Emperor. This karma line is light white, indicating that although there is karma, Wild Heaven Emperor's malice towards you is not very great. You destroyed the god of the Wilderness clan that worshipped his divine statue. Unexpectedly, Wild Heaven Emperor still holds mostly goodwill towards you. It seems this Wild Heaven Emperor is also a good person, you must repay him if you have the chance in the future. And the last karma line is also as black as ink, but its origin is beyond your expectation. It's actually related to Tianji Pavilion. Wasn't Tianji Pavilion destroyed by you a long time ago? Even the true body of Tianji Pavilion's old ancestor, Tianji Zia Wangji Immortal Emperor, has already fallen into your hands. Why is the karma related to it still so powerful? Damn it, what exactly is its background? Does its significance still need to rise? You carefully checked, refusing to believe, and found that the other end of this karma line originated from the prehistoric 7th epoch of the Cursed Tao era. Could it be that Tianji Pavilion targeted you so fiercely in the lower realm because some prehistoric powerhouse was fiercely cursing you? You didn't provoke anyone from the Cursed Tao era, did you? Isn't this insane? You feel very wronged. This karma line is too strange. However, no matter who is targeting you behind this, since they dared to attack you, then you will definitely make them repay tenfold. 571. The 6th level of the Immortal Lord, the era without an emperor. Return to Daoshu, the 18 levels of hell. After clarifying the origins of the 5 hidden karma lines, you now have a relatively clear understanding of your situation. The Transcendent Mark and Wild Heaven Emperor karma lines can be ignored for now. However, the existence behind the Demon Star, the mastermind who caused your transmigration, and the root of Tianji Pavilion, all pose significant potential threats to you. These karma will descend in unknown ways in the future. But what is most urgent for you right now is the Yuzan Daozan karma line. Because you know that as soon as Yuzan Daozan returns, he will definitely make a move against you. With your current strength, it will be very difficult to resist him. Now that your causality laws are at perfection, you begin to engrave them within the ancestral court. 2 months later, you successfully engraved them. You have broken through to Immortal Venerable 6th level. Your strength has once again surged. Now, you truly possess the combat power of an Immortal Venerable 10th level, and it's no longer just about resisting for a while. Furthermore, with a full outburst, an ordinary Immortal Venerable 10th level is no match for you. In any case, Emperor Demon Immortal Venerable definitely cannot defeat you now. As for Nether God of Myriad Calamities and Great Diaresis Heavenly Devil, you have not yet fought them, so you do not understand their strength. Nether God of Myriad Calamities is not only an Immortal Venerable 10th level expert, but he also controls 1/5 of the Reincarnation Authority. Previously, he only used a single sentence to scare away Emperor Demon Immortal Venerable. His strength is definitely above Emperor Demon Immortal Venerable. Even so, you believe it will be difficult for him to do anything to you. There is still 1 month until the 6-month deadline. To be on the safe side, your main body quietly entered Other Shore Sky. You want to go to Dao Ruin's realm. With your current strength, even if Dao Ruin's realm is full of dangers, it will be difficult to harm your life for a while. You want to go there to avoid trouble for a period of time. Even if Nether God of Myriad Calamities' strength far exceeds your imagination, or Yuzan Daozan suddenly returns, your main body will be temporarily safe. Of course, before leaving, you definitely left behind 3 Dao body to continue causing trouble. The other unawakened Emperor Stars, the Reincarnation Authority in the Underworld, the resources of the Immortal Reverence Hall, these are all first-rate benefits. You would not easily give them up. After your main body entered Other Shore Sky, perhaps due to your greatly increased strength, you quickly found the ferry boat. On the boat was still an old boatman, who should be the same person you encountered in your previous simulations. However, even with your current strength, it is difficult to discern his cultivation realm. You speculate that he is at least a quasi-immortal emperor. You wonder why he would be a ferryman in Other Shore Sky. You offered an innate spirit treasure as payment for the boat, then boarded the ferry boat and asked the old boatman to take you to the entrance of Dao Ruin's realm. The old boatman looked at you with surprise and uncertainty for a moment before he began to row the oars. Along the way, he marveled, to cultivate to such a realm before even 100 years old is truly unprecedented. However, what a pity, what a patia. The old boatman repeated a what a patia twice. You shamelessly said, old man, is the pity you speak of referring to the immortal ancestor being too powerful, thus cutting off my hope of becoming an immortal emperor? Unexpectedly, the old boatman shook his head and said, not so. I received some rumors that it is very likely that no immortal emperor will emerge in this epoch. It is a pity that a person like you was born in such an epoch of the end of Tao. A epoch of the end of Tao. You were stunned by his words. You were already preparing to contend with Yu Zhandaozhen for the position of Immortal Emperor, yet the old boatman said this was an epoch of the end of Tao where it is difficult for an Immortal Emperor to emerge. What did he mean by that? Could it be that you cannot break through to Immortal Emperor? Although you are still far from Immortal Emperor now. But in reality, it's just a matter of 1 or 2 simulations. So, upon hearing this, you naturally became anxious. When you continued to inquire, the old boatman consistently refused to speak. If you weren't worried about being unable to defeat him, you would have truly wanted to punch this enigmatic person to death. After a long while, you comforted yourself in your heart, telling yourself that the old boatman merely spoke of rumors, and it should not be true that you cannot break through to Immortal Emperor. If there was no hope of breaking through to Immortal Emperor, why would Yu Zhandaozhen plan so early and make so many efforts? A few days later, you successfully arrived at the entrance of Dao Ruin's realm. To form a good connection, you gave the old boatman a few more innate spirit treasure before stepping inside. The old boatman watched your departing figure and sighed, "Oh, what a good child," but unfortunately, he was born at the wrong time. In previous simulations, you had entered Dao Ruin's realm. At that time, you were timid and hid everywhere, fearing to encounter any powerful experts. However, due to your extremely low strength, even with extreme caution, you still did not survive for too long. But now, you choose to strike hard. As long as you encounter any immortal venerable who dares to attack you along the way, you will capture and refine them without exception. Soon after, your prestige began to spread throughout this region. Many immortal venerable kept their distance from you. Time flew by, and a month quickly passed. Your main body figured out that the place you were currently in was the cosmos domain of the 9 domains within Dao Ruin's realm, specifically the heaven, earth, black, yellow, universe, wild, cosmos. Furthermore, you also clarified the power distribution within Dao Ruin's realm. Among them, the 8 domains of heaven, earth, black, yellow, universe, wild, are respectively occupied by the powerhouses of the 8 great prehistoric era. And the vastest central domain is the arena for the 8 major forces, considered the most chaotic place. The cosmos domain you are in is mainly inhabited by the powerhouses of the 6th epoch of the God Dao era. The God Dao era is the epoch where Wild Heaven Emperor was born. You didn't expect to have such a connection with Wild Heaven Emperor. Of course, there are many forces within the God Dao era. The strongest among them is definitely the heavenly court left behind by Wild Heaven Emperor. However, you currently have no intention of joining it. You are from the Immortal Dao era, and your main cultivation is the Immortal Dao. If you rashly went to join, you probably wouldn't know how to spell the word, death. Your main body entered Dao Ruin's realm primarily to find a place to cultivate and improve your strength. There's no need to provoke unnecessary trouble. At this time, the 6-month period had arrived. Nether God of myriad calamities found the Dao body you left in Chaos Realm and asked you how you had considered it. You said that you had no intention of signing the reincarnation contract, and asked Nether God of myriad calamities to leave. Upon hearing this, Nether God of myriad calamities snorted coldly, and the scene of the 18 layers of hell appeared behind him. Tongue-pulling hell, scissors hell, iron tree hell, copper pillar hell, oil pot hella. Each layer of hell was a torture, making one wish for death but unable to find it. 572, 1 against 2, all suppressed. The great freedom demon fell for eternity. The Nether God of myriad calamities sneered, "You in the young world have an ancient saying, 'He who understands the times is a wise man.' I believe these torture instruments will surely make your excellency change his mind." You didn't expect the Nether God of myriad calamities to be so confident. Since that was the case, you decided to experience his high-level moves. You took out the god-slaying spear, and with just one thrust, the scene of the 18 layers of hell shattered. Afterward, you and the Nether God of myriad calamities began a great battle. The Nether God of myriad calamities was greatly astonished to see that you were not at a disadvantage. Only half a year had passed, yet your strength had grown so much. As expected of a demon star. However, this only made him more determined to take you down. If you were given a few more years, he might not even be your opponent. Now might be his only chance to take you down, because the strength of both of you was above that of the immortal venerable of the demonic emperor. The power of the battle was even more terrifying. Hundreds of millions of miles of the immortal realm void realm were torn apart like a piece of paper. The terrifying scene, like the sky falling and the earth rending, shocked countless immortal realm beings. The Immortal Venerable of the demonic emperor from the 8th heaven was also alarmed. He frowned when he saw your power. One nether god of myriad calamities was enough to defeat 2 of him. The last time you cleverly repelled him was considered a great humiliation, but he didn't expect that before he could regain his face, his strength had already been left far behind by you. However, now you and the nether god of myriad calamities were fighting to a standstill. The Immortal Venerable of the demonic emperor believed that he might still have a chance. Myriad calamities, I'm here to help you. Soon, he crossed realms and joined the nether god of myriad calamities to deal with you. Facing 2 opponents, your pressure greatly increased. However, a smile appeared at the corner of your mouth, as if you were waiting for this moment. Then, your other 2 Tao bodies appeared simultaneously. This made it 3 against 2. The nether god of myriad calamities and the Immortal Venerable of the demonic emperor's expressions changed drastically. Incarnations with identical strength were harder to cultivate the higher the realm. At their realm, an incarnation having 1/10 of their strength was considered good. Your incarnations, with 100% of your strength, were too terrifying, they definitely weren't cultivated by you alone. Your 3 Tao bodies attacked together, quickly suppressing the weaker Immortal Venerable of the demonic emperor within the Hongmeng Tao Palace. The Immortal Venerable of the demonic emperor roared, struggling continuously. Unfortunately, the Hongmeng Tao Palace had already advanced to a chaos spiritual treasure. No matter how much he struggled, it was useless. The nether god of myriad calamities was greatly alarmed by the situation. He directly used 1/5 of his reincarnation authority to break through the encirclement, intending to escape back to the netherworld. But how could you give him this chance? The netherworld was his lair. There, the power of his reincarnation authority would greatly increase. It wouldn't be so easy to trap him then. You used the perfection of causality laws to activate a thick, ink-black karma line around the nether god of myriad calamities. This karma line was the resentment formed by the nether god of myriad calamities, refining countless deceased souls in the netherworld for hundreds of billions of years. Normally, he suppressed it, making it difficult to affect him. Now, being activated by you, although its influence on him was still limited, it caused his figure to pause for a moment. Then, your Hongmeng Tao Palace suppressed him, completely trapping him. The nether god of myriad calamities finally panicked and began to beg for mercy, saying that if you let him go, he would hand over the reincarnation authority in his possession. You sneered, saying that by refining him, you would obtain it anyway. 573. Enter the underworld and control reincarnation. The wheel of life and death in the heavens, the calamity of the Immortal Palace. Currently, there are only 3 Immortal Venerable 10th level powerhouses in the Chaos realm. They are Immortal Venerable Demo, Nether God of Myriad Calamities, and Great Diaresis Heavenly Devil. Now, apart from the Great Diaresis Heavenly Devil from the foreign lands, Immortal Venerable Demo from the 9 heavens and 10 earths, and the Nether God of Myriad Calamities from the underworld have all fallen into your hands. Countless beings throughout the Chaos realm were terrified and horrified by this. Especially the dozens of Immortal Venerables in the Immortal Reverence Hall and the various Nether Gods in the underworld. The former, due to Yu Zhan Daozhen, will certainly be your enemy. The latter, because of the reincarnation authority, such a huge benefit, those Nether Gods will not believe you would ignore it. The headquarters of the Immortal Reverence Hall is currently still protected by the restriction left by Yu Zhan Daozhen. But the underworld does not have quasi-Immortal Emperor level power. With your strength, if a quasi-Immortal Emperor does not appear, almost no one can defeat you. The fate of these Nether Gods who control the reincarnation authority is conceivable. However, they are not without the power to resist. They formed an alliance, intending to confront you in the underworld. Currently, these Nether Gods still hold 3/5 of the reincarnation authority. In the underworld, they can exert their full power and may not be unable to protect themselves. But you quickly showed them through your actions that this was merely a beautiful fantasy of theirs. Your 3 Tao bodies possess power that reaches the heavens and penetrates the earth. They are practically invincible in the current Chaos realm. Although your reincarnation authority is 1/5 less, your strength is sufficient to compensate for this gap. Your 3 Tao bodies quickly entered the underworld, crushing the alliance formed by these Nether Gods. The remaining Nether Gods, seeing no hope of escape, even actively betrayed their allies, offering you their loyalty. Half a month later, you killed over a dozen Nether Gods and suppressed over 20 Nether Gods. As for the nearly 10 Nether Gods who surrendered to you, you had them cultivate the He Wa Sheng Ren Fa. At this point, you have essentially gathered all of the reincarnation authority. Why essentially? Because there is still a trace of reincarnation authority whose whereabouts are unknown. Another god who surrendered to you told you, this trace of reincarnation authority is held by Nether God Wuchang, an immortal venerable 8th level. Nether God Wuchang went to the Dao Ruins realm and has not returned for billions of years. Your main body is currently cultivating in the Dao Ruins realm, so you naturally have a deep understanding of the Dao Ruins realm. Not only is the area vast, but powerhouses from various prehistoric eras gather there, and even Daozen or quasi-immortal emperors are not too rare. Trying to find someone there is undoubtedly like searching for a needle in a haystack. This matter can only be considered in the long run. Of course, if Nether God Wuchang were to fall soon, the reincarnation authority he controls would also automatically return to the underworld. Of course, such things depend entirely on luck. However, even if a trace is missing, the reincarnation authority in your hands has almost allowed you to control the entire great reincarnation system. The reincarnation of all beings in the entire chaos realm is under your gaze. And reincarnation information can be modified by you at any time. You also saw many familiar faces in the reincarnation. These were all old acquaintances who had accidentally died by your hand. After people from the immortal realm die, they generally reincarnate back into the immortal realm. But you are kind-hearted and sent them to reincarnate in the lower realm. Although the immortal realm is rich in resources, there is always fighting and the competition is too fierce. It's better to let them go to the barren lower realm to enjoy their blessings. After taking care of your old acquaintances, you began to test the increase in strength provided by the great reincarnation system. Your strength increased 7 or 8 times within the underworld. Even outside, it can increase by more than double. Your strength was already extremely terrifying, and now it has increased by more than double. Even without using the Hongmeng Dao Palace or the God-slaying spear, these 2 chaos spiritual treasures, you are confident in defeating the combined forces of the previous Nether God of myriad calamities and immortal venerable Demo. If in the underworld, it goes without saying, you feel that even a quasi-immortal emperor, you could exchange a few blows with. Of course, the quasi-immortal emperor here refers to those who have just had a breakthrough not long ago. Old brand quasi-immortal emperors like Yuzan Daozen are still hard to say. You currently do not know what realm Yuzan Daozen is among quasi-immortal emperors. But you believe that a being capable of standing out from a multitude of prehistoric powerhouses is definitely not weak. For someone like Great Sun Tathagata, who is about to have a breakthrough to quasi-immortal emperor. If in the underworld, you are confident of victory. Of course, the specifics can only be known after a fight. Besides the control over reincarnation and the increase in strength, there was also an unexpected item in the entire great reincarnation system. That is the chaos spiritual treasure nurtured by the underworld, the All Heavens Life-Death Wheel. The All Heavens Life-Death Wheel is an important item for maintaining the great reincarnation system. It can only be used if one controls more than half of the reincarnation authority. Otherwise, forcing its use can easily lead to being harmed by it. For you now, it can naturally be used easily, without even needing to refine it. Because it is inherently one with the great reincarnation system. Your control over the reincarnation authority is equivalent to refining it. The greatest function of the All Heavens Life-Death Wheel is to trap people in the cycle of life and death, constantly wearing down their true spirit power. The true spirit is the origin of the divine soul. If the true spirit is damaged, the divine soul will also suffer great damage. And it is difficult to recover. For immortal venerables and even quasi-immortal emperors, if the true spirit is damaged to a certain extent, they will even fall in realm. It can be said to be extremely malicious. The appearance of the All Heavens Life-Death Wheel can be considered to have added another powerful offensive method for you. And the most important point. The All Heavens Life-Death Wheel can use the power of the great reincarnation system to project to any place in the chaos realm. Before, you couldn't do anything about the dozens of immortal venerables hiding in Yuzan Mountain. But now, you should first find the immortal ancestor and collect some interest. You directly activated the power of the All Heavens Life-Death Wheel. The next moment, above Yuzan Mountain, a massive life-death wheel, reaching the sky and standing on the ground, immediately appeared. It remotely pulled the true spirits of all living beings on Yuzan Mountain into the reincarnation. Moreover, it did not trigger the restriction left by Yuzan Daozen. Perhaps Yuzan Daozen did not expect that someone could control reincarnation so quickly. Within the All Heavens Life-Death Wheel, the former colleagues of the Immortal Reverence Hall all looked at you in terror. Yaoqi Jade Mother had previously gone to the Black Prison with you to suppress the rebellion, believing she had some acquaintance with you. She put on a sincere expression and advised, "Our Master Yuzan is the immortal ancestor, whose strength far surpasses ordinary quasi-immortal emperors. Although you are invincible among immortal venerables, you can never be his opponent. If you are willing to turn back now, when Master returns, we are willing to plead for you and spare your life." 574. The death of Ba Wu, the destruction of the sun. The invincible realm, the law of space. You smiled. Yaoqi Jade Mother's words made it sound as if you were the one imprisoned. In this simulation, you and Yaoqi Jade Mother indeed didn't have much animosity. However, in previous simulations, she had once tried to kill you along with Yu Daozun. You pointed a finger, and her true spirit was directly ground to dust by the power of the All Heavens Life-Death Wheel, dead beyond dead. Seeing your ruthless methods, the other immortal venerables turned pale and remained silent. Then, you coldly said, "Where is Ba Wu?" Immortal Venerable Ba Wu had repeatedly sought trouble with you. If he hadn't been hiding in Yuzan Mountain, you would have long since flayed him alive. Now that he was inside your All Heavens Life-Death Wheel, did he still expect a good outcome? Immortal Venerable Ba Wu, who was cowering behind the crowd, was quickly pushed out by the other immortal venerables. Immortal Venerable Ba Wu awkwardly laughed. Everything before was a misunderstanding. "Please, you are a magnanimous person, don't hold it against me." You extended a palm and pulverized Immortal Venerable Ba Wu's true spirit into ashes. Then, you calmly said, "Sorry, I'm just a person who likes to hold grudges." Afterward, you turned your gaze to the other immortal venerables and asked, "Submission or death?" All the immortal venerables remained silent. Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable sighed, "We have already cultivated the Yuxuan Golden Chapter, it's impossible for us to betray Master and the Immortal Reverence Hall." At this moment, Immortal Venerable Lian Rong stepped forward and said, "Everyone, why don't we fight him? Master will definitely revive me." But before she could act, you preemptively cast her into the life-death reincarnation, where she met a miserable end. Subsequently, one after another, immortal venerables who refused to submit had their true spirits ground away by the power of the All Heavens Life-Death Wheel. The ordinary disciples who had not cultivated the Yuxuan Golden Chapter trembled at this sight and immediately knelt in submission. Until the very end, only Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable remained within the All Heavens Life-Death Wheel. Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable looked at you with a complex gaze and said, "I never thought you could reach this point, I still underestimated you." After speaking, her true spirit self-destructed and entered reincarnation. Thinking back, you helped Mystic Sound achieve creation principle perfection, allowing her to break through to Immortal Venerable 8th Heaven ahead of time. Although she used the Chaos Thunder Wood to settle this karma, she still felt gratitude towards you. However, they had reached an opposing stance. This was the will of the Tao, unavoidable. Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable was one of your few friends in the Immortal Reverence Hall. Being kind-hearted, you originally intended to spare her life and simply suppress her. You didn't expect her to self-destruct. Never mind, never mind. Let her have a life of wealth and prosperity. You sent Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable's true spirit, which was originally destined for reincarnation in the 8th Heaven, into a wealthy family in the lower realms mortal world. And you blessed her, ensuring she would live a life free from illness and disaster. There was no other way, simplicity and kindness were your nature. Even if you were enemies, you were willing to help a former friend. Dozens of immortal venerables from the Immortal Reverence Hall perished simultaneously, the heavens and earth mourned together, and blood rain fell across the entire immortal realm. Great Sun World Honored One looked at the blood-colored raindrops in his hand and worriedly said, "Can such a terrifying figure truly be used by our Buddhist sect?" However, he still chose to believe Great Sun Tathagata. No one could resist the temptation of breakthrough to quasi-immortal emperor. As long as you chose to cultivate the past Amitabha Sutra, you would inevitably be controlled by the Buddhist sect. At the very least, you would owe the Buddhist sect a great karma. With your strength, the Buddhist sect would benefit immensely at that time. However, in the next moment, a giant wheel appeared above the Great Sun Tathagata temple, shattering Great Sun World Honored One's vision. Because this wheel was precisely the All Heavens Life-Death Wheel that had previously appeared on Yuzan Mountain. The All Heavens Life-Death Wheel rotated slightly, and the heavens and earth roared, deafeningly loud. The entire Great Sun Tathagata Temple was slowly ground into dust under this terrifying power. Even the immortal Venerable Seventh Heaven Great Sun World Honored One was powerless to resist, only able to watch himself perish. Lu, Chong, Sheng, a golden Buddha manifested and roared. This was the incarnation of Great Sun Tathagata. However, he was exceptionally furious at this moment. They had agreed before that no harm would come to him, yet now he was being attacked again. This was clearly not putting him in his eyes at all. The golden Buddha struck out, resisting the power of the all heavens life-death wheel. But it only resisted for a moment. Soon, a Tao body personally descended and shattered the golden Buddha. You knew that Great Sun Tathagata had ill intentions towards you. Before, it was due to insufficient strength. Now that you were an invincible immortal venerable, who would still feign compliance with him? You first subdued the underworld, then annihilated Yuzan Mountain and the Great Sun Tathagata Temple. This caused a huge commotion in the immortal realm. These were all top-tier hegemonic forces. Yet now, they all fell before you. As long as the immortal ancestor did not return, you were truly the number one person in the chaos realm. No one dared to directly face your sharp edge. Subsequently, your Tao body once again grandly established the Reincarnation Heavenly Palace. Previously, the Reincarnation Heavenly Palace's main territory was the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Now, however, you plan to extend its reach to every corner of the Chaos Realm. Firstly, to search for unawakened Emperor stars for you. Secondly, to collect resources for you and cultivate other selves. Due to your deterrence, no one could stop the Reincarnation Heavenly Palace wherever it went. Even those who didn't know your name would be dealt with by the underworld gods from the underworld, clearing all obstacles. During this period, many immortal venerables in the Chaos Realm hid themselves. But under the Great Reincarnation System, no matter how deeply they hid, they could not escape your gaze. Of course, you were not a cruel person. As long as they didn't become your enemies, you were too lazy to bother with them. However, you did not find any trace of the great Dionysus Heavenly Devil. It was as if he didn't exist. But the causality laws reminded you that he was indeed within the Chaos Realm. He had not gone to the Tao Ruins realm, or other mysterious places. As expected of an existence that had been active for so long under the immortal ancestor. His life-saving abilities were indeed extraordinary. Time flew by, a month passed in the blink of an eye. Your main body in the Tao Ruins realm finally achieved an initial understanding of Space Tao principles. Space Tao principles encompass all the spatial mysteries of the Chaos Realm. Most formations and restrictions are based on the Tao of space. If you could fully comprehend it, with your current strength, you were confident in breaking the restriction left by the immortal ancestor in Yuzan Mountain. Although you used the All Heavens Life-Death Wheel to grind away the true spirits of everyone in Yuzan Mountain, turning it into a dead zone. There were still vast resources inside that you couldn't extract. If you could break the restriction, your progress in cultivating other selves could be several times faster. 575. Innate God, space is complete. Looking for the Emperor star again, rebirth proof. In a flash, another half a year passed. Your Space Tao principles entered the minor achievement realm. Your understanding of the essence of space deepened. With your strength, even if your Space Tao principles were only at the minor achievement realm, you could freely travel anywhere within the Chaos Realm. The construction of your Reincarnation Heavenly Palace naturally accelerated significantly. In this half year, you cultivated over 30 million more quasi-immortal Emperor realm, other selves. Since your Tao body and main body share the same divine soul origin, after refining and fusing the true spirits of these other selves, your Tao soul power greatly increased. Moreover, you could also feel that your true spirit seemed to be undergoing some kind of transformation. You guessed that if you continued to fuse them, your true spirit would likely revert from acquired to innate, becoming an innate divine spirit. An innate divine spirit is cultivated on the basis of an innate spirit. Many immortal venerables in the Immortal Reverence Hall, such as Jade Universe Celestial Venerable, Yaoqi Jade Mother, and Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable, were all cultivated from innate divine spirits. After the original innate spirit shattered, even if it was recollected and completed in the acquired stage, it would be very difficult to cultivate into an innate divine spirit again. It's like a broken mirror that's hard to mend. Even if reassembled, there will always be imperfections. These imperfections limited the further sublimation of the innate spirit. However, you used the simulator to exploit a bug, fusing the true spirits of your other selves once again. This was not only an increase in quantity but also a completion of your origin, allowing your acquired completed innate spirit to possess the foundation to cultivate into an innate divine spirit. Innate divine spirits are the darlings of the Tao. After cultivating into one, there are numerous benefits. Taking the immortal venerables of later generations as an example, many of them were cultivated from innate divine spirits. If your innate spirit could cultivate into an innate divine spirit, your Tao path would undoubtedly be smoother. Time flew by, and another year passed. You once again fused over 70 million true spirits of your other selves. Your innate spirit finally began its transformation. The transformation was completed in just 3 days under 100,000 times time acceleration. After the transformation was complete, your innate spirit successfully sublimated into an innate divine spirit. You felt an immense closeness to the heavenly Tao. Even the speed at which you comprehended space Tao principles increased by several points. You estimated that your current basic comprehension ability could rival an immortal venerable 10th level. Your original comprehension ability was already extremely high. To be able to improve so much after cultivating into an innate divine spirit was an unexpected surprise. In addition to comprehension ability, your resistance to divine soul attacks also increased significantly. A month later, your space Tao principles successfully entered the major achievement realm. This was much earlier than anticipated. After your space Tao principles reached major achievement, you once again expanded the space of the Chongsheng world. The expanded Chongsheng world was now not much smaller than the 6th heaven. Of course, this was not your limit. You had already comprehended Yin-Yang Tao principles and creation principle. If you continued to expand the Chongsheng world, its area could rival the 7th heaven. The 7th heaven, among all the dimensions in the entire immortal realm, was also one of the top 10 largest dimensions. Previously, many immortal venerables from the Immortal Reverence Hall lived here. However, that would take too much time. Your most important task right now was to increase your strength to deal with the threat from Yuzhan Daozhen. The space within the Chongsheng world was sufficient for now. At this time, the influence of the Reincarnation Heavenly Palace had spread throughout most of the Chaos Realm. 576. Where the Immortal Emperor went, deep darkness. Space is perfect, 9 layers of space. You are now invincible in the Chaos Realm, possessing dozens of innate spirit treasures, which makes you quite wealthy. You took out 3 relatively useless innate spirit treasures, hoping the old boatman would reveal the reason for the No Immortal Emperor epic. Unexpectedly, the old boatman still only accepted 1 innate spirit treasure. He shook his head and said, "Youngster, it's not that I don't want to tell you, but with your current strength, if you knew, I'm afraid misfortune would befall you. Although this epic is a No Immortal Emperor epic, in the next epic, you might still be able to achieve great things. Youngster, what you should consider now is, where there's life, there's hope. The time for a new epic to begin is completely uncertain. Sometimes long, sometimes short. But even at its shortest, it would still be tens of billions of years. If you had to wait until the next epic, you would likely be waiting forever. This can only be the worst-case scenario. If there's hope of becoming an immortal emperor in this epic, you still hope to achieve breakthrough in this epic." Afterward, the old boatman suddenly sighed again. Of course, it's also possible there won't be a next epic. This might be the last epic of the Chaos Realm. Although waiting for the next epic would be a long time, at least there's hope. His sudden remark extinguished all hope. You asked him what exactly was preventing a breakthrough to Immortal Emperor. The old boatman shook his head and remained silent, only rowing his boat. If he didn't speak, you would keep asking. As the saying goes, the essence of humanity is repetition. Anyway, you have a thick skin, so let's see who gives in first. Ultimately, the old boatman gave in. He finally spoke again. That is the darkness that immortal emperors of numerous epochs have jointly resisted. Even if you knew, what could you do? A single word was earth-shattering. It was rumored throughout the Chaos Realm that after immortal emperors of numerous epochs achieved breakthrough, they went to a place of great freedom and ease. Now, it seems that's not the case. Instead, they went to resist something. Immortal emperors are hailed as the end of the Tao. They are the culmination of cultivation in the Chaos Realm. Even a group of immortal emperors must join forces, and it seems they are close to being unable to resist. What exactly is the darkness the old boatman spoke of? You felt a chill throughout your body and finally fell silent. Indeed, there's always someone better. Cultivation is endless. Even an immortal emperor is certainly not the end. Otherwise, such a situation would not occur. What worried you was, is there truly no hope of achieving breakthrough to Immortal Emperor in this epoch? For now, you can only take it one step at a time. Regardless of what that so-called darkness is, you can only gain more self-preservation by continuously strengthening your power. Afterward, the old boatman brought you to the entrance of the Tao Ruins realm. This entrance is similar to a random teleportation array. After entering, your Tao body might not arrive next to your main body. If it landed in some perilous place, then the other self-body transported by your Tao body would be wasted. You ask the old boatman how to arrive at a specified location. The old boatman extended a finger. You immediately took out an innate spirit treasure. The old boatman rolled his eyes at you and said he wanted an innate spirit treasure. Why didn't you say so earlier? If you had said so earlier, wouldn't I have taken it out already? So, you took out your most useless innate spirit treasure and put it in the old boatman's hand. 577. The 12th level of Daoshu, breaking through Yuxuan Mountain. Hunting down the immortals from foreign lands, a huge amount of jade disc fragments. One must understand that even the great battles between immortal venerables are difficult for the immortal realm to withstand. It often leads to dimensional destruction. However, the Tao Ruins realm can not only easily withstand battles between immortal venerables, but even quasi-immortal emperors find it difficult to harm its foundation. Under your main body's careful observation, you discovered that the spatial structure of the Tao Ruins realm is indeed more complex than that of the immortal realm. There are as many as 12 layers of deep space alone. These deep spaces are not as desolate as the immortal realm. Many of these spaces have various forces stationed within them. Especially the first 5 layers, which have the most living beings. After that, the difficulty of survival sharply increases, and the number of living beings decreases. The surface space combined with the deep space constitutes the complete Tao Ruins realm. However, with your current strength, you can only enter up to the 7th layer of space. The spaces beyond that pose a certain threat to you. The immortal realm is the supreme plane nurtured by the chaos realm. Of the 10 parts of the chaos realm, the immortal realm alone occupies 5. In terms of top-tier combat power, the immortal realm accounts for more than half. The immortal realm can be said to be the essence of the chaos realm. So, where did this Tao Ruins realm come from? Was it created by a prehistoric powerful being, or by an immortal emperor? You currently have no relevant information. But you are certain that it was definitely not nurtured by the chaos realm. The level of the immortal realm is basically the limit of the chaos realm. The essence of the Tao Ruins realm far surpasses the immortal realm, and it can even cut off the river of time. You find it hard to imagine how the chaos realm could have nurtured it. After the space Tao principles reached perfection, your Tao body only took half a month to break the restriction left by Yuzan Daozan on Yuzan Mountain. Of course, this was not solely due to the space Tao principles. Infinite enlightenment also played a significant role. Only with the perfected space Tao principles, combined with infinite enlightenment, could it be broken so quickly. Yuzan Mountain is the headquarters of the Immortal Reverence Hall, and most of the top-tier resources from the 9 heavens and 10 earths are collected here. Of course, there are also the physical bodies of many immortal venerables, as well as their magic treasures, here. These immortal venerables were all cultivated in this epoch, and they do not possess chaos spiritual treasures. But there is another thing you care about, the jade creation disc fragments. Yuzan Daozan once collected many jade creation disc fragments in the chaos realm. After comprehending them, he placed them on Yuzan Mountain, making them available for exchange. You had previously exchanged for 1 piece. However, that was the last remaining piece. The other fragments had long since been exchanged by other immortal venerables of the Immortal Reverence Hall over the long years. Previously, intimidated by your power, these immortal venerables all hid in Yuzan Mountain, daring not to go out. Now, all these treasures in their hands have benefited you entirely. You collected all the jade creation disc fragments in their hands. A total of 31 pieces. Adding the 4 pieces you already had. You now have a total of 35 jade creation disc fragments. When the jade plate of fortune opened the heavens and earth, it bore the might of creation and shattered into over 100 pieces. Now you have gathered at least a quarter of them. This is a quite remarkable achievement. Besides these, the otherworldly immortal exalted also have some jade creation disc fragments. The reason you did not act before was twofold. Firstly, you did not want to offend the great Adiaris heavenly devil from the otherworld too early. After all, this fellow's origin is mysterious, and even Yu Zondao couldn't do anything about him. You didn't want to fall out with him too soon. Secondly, there were so many fragments waiting for you in Yuzan Mountain, you didn't need to rush at all. First, get the fragments from Yuzan Mountain into your hands. Now, the treasures of Yuzan Mountain are all in your possession. Next, it's time for those otherworldly immortal exalted. Of course, you are not some extremely wicked person. Other things are of limited use to you, and you can't even use all the innate spirit treasures you have. You only want the jade creation disc fragments in their hands. You believe they will still give you, the great virtue Immortal Venerable, this much face. Your main body continued to cultivate in the Tao Ruins realm. Meanwhile, your Tao body began to wander around the Chaos realm, seeking jade creation disc fragments from the otherworldly immortal exalted. Unexpectedly, many people were quite ignorant. As soon as they heard you wanted jade creation disc fragments, they made all sorts of excuses. You were so kind, so why didn't they cooperate with you? Your Tao body has a fiery temper and immediately shattered them on the spot. More than a dozen otherworldly immortal exalted were killed in a row. The remaining otherworldly immortal exalted finally feared your majesty and obediently offered what you wanted. However, it was already too late. Your Tao body was already bloodthirsty, hunting down otherworldly immortal exalted everywhere. If they don't cooperate, they all die. You originally only wanted the jade creation disc fragments in their hands, but now you had no choice but to accept all their family possessions with tears in your eyes. There's no other way, perhaps this is what it means for good people to be rewarded. Some otherworldly immortal exalted wanted to escape to the Tao Ruins realm. But you already had a Tao body blocking the other shore sky. Trying to escape was simply walking into a trap. Thus, after more than half a month of bloody slaughter, over 30 immortal venerables from the otherworld perished. You once again collected 39 jade creation disc fragments. The jade creation disc fragments in your possession have now reached 74 pieces. Some remaining otherworldly immortal exalted who did not have jade creation disc fragments secretly rejoiced. As a result, your Tao body still sought them out and captured them. You are of great virtue and benevolence, you captured them not to kill them. The 9 heavens and 10 earths and the otherworld have been in opposition for a long time. The border wasteland war has caused endless suffering to countless living beings. You captured them to make them cultivate He Wa Sheng Ren Fa, to bring peace to the immortal realm. As for their possessions, they were also confiscated by you. These were plundered from the beings of the realm, ill-gotten gains. They must be handed over to you, the incarnation of justice, for distribution. Seeing that through your efforts, the otherworld and the 9 heavens and 10 earths began to coexist peacefully, a relieved smile appeared on your face. Why are you always busy and tired? It is because of your deep love for all living beings. Someone like Yu Zondao is a hypocrite. He clearly had the ability to eliminate war, yet he just stood by. You despise him for that. During your process of hunting and capturing the otherworldly immortal exalted, the great Diaresis heavenly devil never appeared. You originally thought he would come out to cause trouble, or even fight a great battle with you. Now it seems you misunderstood him. He is also a lover of peace. You have 3 Tao bodies in the Chaos realm. 2 of them are frantically refining the newly acquired jade creation disc fragments. The remaining one is desperately expanding the influence of the reincarnation heavenly palace, seeking the Emperor star and collecting power of faith. 578. The 7th level of Immortal Lord, the Man of Destiny. The quasi-immortal Emperor of Buddhism has come to save all living beings. As for karma, it is mainly for the merit Golden Lotus, and now it is completely sufficient. The more power of faith there is, the greater the power of the Wild Heaven Emperor statue. This is one of your trump cards for survival. Perhaps it will have a miraculous effect. The immortal venerables who survived in the Chaos realm and the underworld have basically joined the reincarnation heavenly palace. With their help, the sphere of influence of the reincarnation heavenly palace expanded at an exaggerated rate. Half a year later, the sphere of influence of the reincarnation heavenly palace covered the entire Chaos realm. Many people did not know what happened, and the world was dominated by the reincarnation heavenly palace. At the same time, your true body finally engraved all the space Tao principles into the ancestral court. You have breakthrough to Immortal Venerable 7th realm. Your strength has advanced to a higher level. Now, even without the amplification of reincarnation authority, you are still invincible in the Immortal Venerable realm. Even if the nether god of myriad calamities revives, you can easily slay him. As your true body breakthroughs, your Tao body also breakthroughs simultaneously. The great Diaresis heavenly devil, hiding in the dark, sensed your breakthrough and lamented that you were truly a monster. I heard that the end of this epic will be incredibly dark. Could it be that you are the fated person cultivated by the chaos realm to deal with the darkness? The great son Tathagata, in the future time, also cast his gaze here with worry. In the future time, you do not exist. But this does not prevent his concern for you. Because the future is inherently uncertain and constantly changing. With your breakthrough speed, even a quasi-immortal emperor would be easy to deal with. If Yu Zhandaozhen does not return soon, he might find it difficult to deal with you. The great son Tathagata thought this, of course, not standing on Yu Zhandaozhen's side. Rather, it was based on his own interests. He was about to break through to quasi-immortal emperor. If you were to interfere at such a critical moment of breakthrough, it would be a huge problem. It could lead to the efforts of the entire epic being wasted. However, Yu Zhandaozhen at least had an agreement with him not to interfere with his breakthrough. Of course, it was just not interfering, he would not help him either. Everything depended on himself. However, your destruction of the Immortal Reverence Hall and your terrifying potential will certainly not be tolerated by Yu Zhandaozhen. Once he returns, he will definitely make a move against you. This can be considered indirectly helping the great son Tathagata by eliminating a hidden danger for him. Now, it is just unknown when Yu Zhandaozhen will return. Forget it, outsiders are ultimately unreliable, I still need to invite my Buddhist junior martial uncle. The great son Tathagata sighed slightly. He originated from a prehistoric powerhouse in the Tao Ruins realm, so he naturally had connections. Now that it was a critical moment for breakthrough, it was worth paying some blood to invite a quasi-immortal emperor for assistance. A few days later, a huge emaciated old monk suddenly descended upon the other shore sky. He was hundreds or thousands of feet tall, sitting on a crimson golden lotus platform, with a golden Buddha wheel behind his head, his majesty far surpassing that of the Emperor Devil Immortal Venerable, the nether god of myriad calamities, and the like. As soon as the emaciated old monk appeared, your Tao body sensed it, and you looked surprised. This is a quasi-immortal emperor. When the emaciated old monk left the other shore sky and came to the outside world, the golden Buddha light around him had almost materialized, distorting the void realm and the surrounding hundreds of millions of miles of void realm, as well as the mental cognition of countless living beings. Many people showed struggling expressions, and the next moment they knelt on the ground, becoming his believers. 579. Hanging Temple, Amitabha. Sacrifice again, time is perfect. Most importantly, besides the All Heavens Life-Death Wheel, the other two Chaos spiritual treasures, Hongmeng Dao Palace and God-Slaying Spear, are all in my main body's hands. Relying solely on the All Heavens Life-Death Wheel to resist would undoubtedly be extremely difficult. However, your Tao body still possesses the Jade Creation Disc fragments that are mostly refined. Dozens of Jade Creation Disc fragments, like dozens of great suns across the sky, burst forth with brilliant light. They forcefully withstood the withered old monks, universal salvation, and extinguished thousands of immortal venerable 10th level Buddhas around the netherworld. But your Tao body's consumption was also significant, just one strike drained all the Tao power from your 3 Tao bodies. However, your Tao body was located within the netherworld, and with the All Heavens Life-Death Wheel drawing power from reincarnation, it recovered in an instant. As expected of Chaos Supreme Treasure fragments, blood dripped from the withered old monk's brow as he praised ceaselessly. Dozens of Supreme Treasure fragments could already pose a considerable threat to him. Moreover, you control almost all reincarnation authority. His idea of taking you down quickly was thus shattered. However, he was not without hope. As long as Great Son Tathagata breaks through to Quasi-Immortal Emperor, when the two of them attack you together, he doesn't believe you can still resist. And that day was fast approaching. Thinking of this, the withered old monk did not continue to attack, but instead went directly to the future time-space of the Chaos Realm. Seeing the withered old monk leave, your Tao body hastened to refine the remaining Jade Creation Disc fragments. A few days later, your main body finally found the old boatman again. You asked him if he could lend a hand the next time you encountered danger. The old boatman said he was merely a ferryman and did not participate in worldly disputes. You then asked the old boatman if he could tell you the origin and strength of the withered old monk. The old boatman held out a finger. You took out an innate spirit treasure. The old boatman rolled his eyes at you and said it was an innate supreme treasure. Only then did you switch to an innate supreme treasure. After the old boatman accepted it, he said, that person is named Limitless Life Buddha, and he is one of the 3 ancestral masters of Hanging Temple in the Tao Ruins realm's heavenly domain. As for his realm, he broke through to Quasi-Immortal Emperor in the last epoch, and even now he is only at the peak of Quasi-Immortal Emperor first level. The old boatman spoke lightly, as if Quasi-Immortal Emperor first level was nothing to him. But to you, it was a great mountain. If your Tao body hadn't possessed reincarnation authority and a large number of jade creation disk fragments, it would have been impossible to withstand him. At this point, you finally had a clearer understanding of a Quasi-Immortal Emperor's strength. With the trump cards you currently possess, as long as you are in the Chaos Realm, a Quasi-Immortal Emperor first level should hardly be able to threaten your life. But if they were any stronger, it would be hard to say. And you noticed that the old boatman said Limitless Life Buddha was one of the 3 ancestral masters of Hanging Temple. This meant that Hanging Temple still had 2 other Quasi-Immortal Emperors. You took out another innate supreme treasure and asked the old boatman what realm the other 2 were in. After the old boatman accepted it, he said, the other 2 are named Hanging Saint Buddha and Lantuo Ancient Buddha. Among them, Hanging Saint Buddha is the strongest, at Quasi-Immortal Emperor 3rd level, while Lantuo Ancient Buddha's realm is similar to Limitless Life Buddha, both at Quasi-Immortal Emperor 1st level. It seemed that as long as Hanging Saint Buddha did not make a move, your Tao body should temporarily be out of danger. Since the old boatman knew so many secrets, you asked him if he could tell you Yuzan Dao's specific realm. The old boatman waved his hand, saying that this would involve karma and he could not tell you, but Yuzan Dao's strength was much greater than his old self. Upon hearing this, your main body stopped asking questions and went to the netherworld to refine the jade creation disk fragments with your Tao body. 1 month later, all 74 jade creation disk fragments were refined. Your battle power greatly increased. However, to fully utilize them, you could only do so within the netherworld. Otherwise, in the outside world, their consumption would be enough to drain you dry. After all, this was nearly 2/3 of the jade creation disk fragments. Normally, an immortal venerable would be unable to fully use them. Only you, possessing reincarnation authority, could unleash a hint of its power. You searched the entire Chaos Realm and only managed to collect less than 2/3 of the fragments. The remaining 1/3 must have been taken to other places via other shore sky. Among them, Tao Ruins realm should still have quite a few. After all, during the creation of heaven and earth, there were many prehistoric powerhouses mixed within the Chaos Realm. It was only later that Yuzan Daozan, in order to promote the immortal Tao, vigorously suppressed and expelled them, causing these prehistoric powerhouses to almost disappear from the Chaos Realm. Not long after your main body refined all the jade creation disk fragments in its hands, the 2 unawakened Emperor stars you had previously found finally awakened. You forcibly instilled them to the peak of Immortal Emperor before beginning the sacrifice. As for Immortal Venerable, it wasn't that you couldn't create them, but the time consumption would be at least in years. It would take too long and not be worth the effort. After the sacrifice, this time you chose to comprehend the time laws, which ranked 3rd. Your time laws went directly from uninitiated to a realm of near major achievement. Subsequently, with the help of the Jade Plate of Fortune, you only took 2 months to truly step into the major achievement realm. With time laws at major achievement, many secrets about time completely unfolded before your eyes. You could see that past, present, and future actually exist simultaneously. Everything happening now can affect the past and future. What happened in the past and future can also affect the present. Time is merely a form of presentation for these events. You could also see the Tao Ruins realm's influence in the river of time. It severed time and was devouring the past time space of this epoch to maintain its own existence. This devouring was extremely slow, but it was truly happening. This method defied logic. You became even more convinced that the Tao Ruins realm was artificially created. Moreover, doing so would cause it to endure unimaginable time correction forces. But the Tao Ruins realm remained unharmed. Behind it, there must definitely be the work of an Immortal Emperor. Because only an Immortal Emperor possesses such great power. You also saw the future time-space. A golden ancient Buddha was about to achieve perfection and become a Tao. The withered old monk, who was Limitless Life Buddha according to the old boatman, was guarding him, protecting his Tao. How could he break through so easily right under your nose? Especially limitless life Buddha's actions against you, which touched your bottom line. As the saying goes, if others don't offend me, I don't offend others. Even if you have a kind heart, if others bully you, you will definitely retaliate fiercely. 580. Three bodies merge into one, causality deduced. The earth and the stars change, the 8th level of the immortal. To break through to quasi-immortal emperor, one needs to merge with the three space-times of past, present, and future. And the method of breakthrough in the past Amitabha Sutra is to condense the past body, present body, and future body. Then, with the three bodies in fusion, one can break through. Of course, the past Amitabha Sutra can only condense the past body. The methods for condensing the present body and future body are likely found in the present world Tathagata Sutra and the future Unborn Sutra. Observe Great Son Tathagata, he is currently in a state of merging chi. It is estimated that he is currently in the process of fusing his past body, present body, and future body. Once successful, he will be able to break through to quasi-immortal emperor. You begin to use causality laws to calculate the exact time of his breakthrough. Although Great Son Tathagata is in the future space-time, he has not merged into the river of time, instead, he stands above the river of time. There will still be a corresponding time flow rate in the present world. If he were to merge into the river of time, then the present world's time flow rate would not apply to him. However, doing so would also cause him to bear the karma of the future world, be interfered with by the future world, and increase the risk of breakthrough. He definitely wouldn't do that. It concerns the breakthrough to quasi-immortal emperor. If it were with your previous cultivation, it would be difficult to calculate. But now that your time laws have reached major achievement, and you have 74 jade creation disk fragments to assist you, calculating the exact time is not difficult. Soon, you calculated that Great Son Tathagata would break through in 3 years and 2 months. Then, in 3 years, let's give Great Son Tathagata a surprise. 2 years later, with the help of the Jade Plate of Fortune, your time laws finally reached perfection. This speed can be described as astonishing. The reason why Light and Shadow Immortal Venerable was able to cultivate time laws to perfection. Because his main body, before the creation of heaven and earth, refined an innate treasure of the time category, allowing his time laws to quickly reach major achievement. He then underwent nearly 100 billion years of arduous cultivation before achieving perfection. And now, you only took 2 years to cultivate from major achievement to the realm of perfection. If Light and Shadow Immortal Venerable were to know, one wonders if he would be so angry as to spit blood. After your time laws reached perfection, you can be said to be in your element within the river of time. You are not only able to bypass the Tao Ruins realm and go to the previously cut off time. You can even directly enter the Tao Ruins realm through the river of time. And no longer use other shore sky as a medium. This is a great advantage for you. It undoubtedly makes it more convenient for you to enter the Tao Ruins realm. Your ability to escape has become stronger. Otherwise, if you were blocked by enemies in other shore sky, it would be a big problem. Afterward, your main body began to inscribe the time laws within the ancestral court, striving to break through to the immortal venerable 8th realm. Once you break through, your strength will be further enhanced. The threat from limitless life Buddha will be further reduced. Half a month later, Earth Star suddenly experienced an anomaly. The Zhou Tian domain, where Earth Star is located, had already been brought back to Yuzan Mountain and sealed. After Yuzan Mountain was breached by you, Earth Star naturally fell back into your hands. Earth Star is the gateway to the ancestral star, and its status is extraordinary. And the ancestral star has countless strong individuals, and there should be no shortage of quasi-immortal emperors. Your current top priority is to deal with the threat of Yuzan Daozan. You did not have the idea of creating more powerful enemies for yourself. Therefore, after obtaining Earth Star, you did not continue to explore it. However, now Earth Star has actively shown abnormalities, with a large amount of immortal light gushing out. The volume of Earth Star began to expand rapidly. In just a few days, it reached the size of a star. The nations and civilizations upon it, under this change, rapidly disintegrated. Satellites fell, networks crashed, and even the laws of physics changed, rendering many technological products unusable. Human civilization on Earth Star seemed to return to the primitive era overnight. You silently observed all this, wondering in your heart, is this the spiritual chi recovery? You had previously discovered in ancient documents on Earth Star that Earth Star undergoes a spiritual chi recovery every so often. Many dimensions deep within Earth Star will also merge into Earth Star, causing many new things to appear on Earth Star. The original civilization of Earth Star will basically perish in this change. Only after the spiritual chi recovery ends will civilization be re-nurtured. This strange change is obviously abnormal. There must be someone from the ancestral star manipulating it from behind. You do not know why the people of the ancestral star cause a spiritual chi recovery every so often. Is it to destroy Earth Star civilization? Human civilization on Earth Star is even less than an ant to the ancestral star, so they would obviously not use this method to target it. There must be other reasons. You used causality laws to calculate. Even the causality laws that could calculate Great Sun Tathagata's breakthrough to quasi-immortal emperor, facing the spiritual chi recovery, did not yield any useful information. This does not mean that causality laws are not strong, but that with your current cultivation, it is difficult to calculate. But you did not give up. Your intuition told you that this change would have a huge connection with you. If you don't get some inside information, you probably won't be able to rest or eat peacefully. In the underworld, you used all the jade creation disk fragments and the 3 Tao body to deduce together. This was you going all out. You finally got a vague message. Last. Spiritual chi recovery. Ancestral star. Reappearance. What does this mean? Does it mean that this is the last spiritual chi recovery, and the strong individuals of the ancestral star will reappear in the chaos realm? Your brows furrowed. The matters of Great Sun Tathagata and Yuzan Daozen have not been resolved, and now a group of ancestral star strong individuals are coming. This chaos realm, it seems, is not a place to stay for long. However, before you leave, you must first resolve the matter of Great Sun Tathagata. You pick the soft persimmon to squeeze. After all, among the 3 forces, he is the weakest, so who else would you resolve if not him? If you ignore him and let him truly break through to quasi-immortal emperor, you might have another powerful enemy. Now, Earth Star has just begun its spiritual chi recovery. Even if the ancestral star strong individuals descend, it will take some time. The time left for you should still be ample. 1 year later, you successfully inscribed the time laws within the ancestral court. You successfully break through to Immortal Venerable 8th Realm. Your strength has increased several times over your previous foundation. Under the blessing of reincarnation authority, it appears quite terrifying. You stood up. It's time to settle some things. And Limitless Life Buddha, who had been paying attention to you, sensed your breakthrough aura, and his expression changed slightly. Didn't you just break through to Immortal Venerable 7th Realm 3 years ago? How did you break through to Immortal Venerable 8th Realm so quickly again? Your breakthrough speed is not normal, is it? Even the child of extinction from the previous epoch didn't break through as fast as you. The key is that you are not even the child of extinction, it's too outrageous.